Imagine if you were born into a dismal world where routine can drag you down, down, down. Somewhere where the very journey of life could become something that you must humbly suffer. At Sard Kruger, we aim to make every trip, every flight, every dream a moment of magnificence and bliss. We craft and design. We meticulously sculpt each ship so you're free from the drudgery and banality of the masses. Choose from the sublimely simple dolphin, the refined yet roguish orca, or the monumentally modest beluga. Each ship is a masterpiece, a shimmering dream of opulence and taste. Fly a Sard Kruger, because life should run like clockwork.
Hi, Commander Kumar the Far here, and you're listening to Lave Radio. Up next is a track that I wrote based on a true story. It's called Pirates Took My Spaceship. Now, if you want to listen to more stuff that I've written, you can find that at soundcloud.com/KUMARTHEFFAR-1. Oh crap, the bag!
listening to The Dex Legacy on Lave Radio, broadcasting to every corner of the galaxy.
Hello Commanders, my name is Synaptics. Next up you're listening to my track Orbiter. If you'd like to listen to more of my work, please visit synaptics.com, synaptyx.com. Fly safe and enjoy the show here on Lave Radio.
listening to The Dex Legacy on Lave Radio, broadcasting to every corner of the galaxy. There are many divisions operating within the Dex Industries Corporation, including but not limited to the Combined Business and National Administrations, Foreign and Domestic Intelligence, various research divisions, manufacturing, and the military, which is divided between the Dex Fleet and the Dex Army. The separation of Army and Fleet means that Varian, Isra, and Ren rarely see their comrades in the air, so they take every opportunity to reconnect wherever they can, even if all they have time for is a brief conversation while en route to a military training exercise on the other side of Dex Island. Chauffeur Service, a bonus episode of The Dex Legacy, starring Kelsey Griffin, Stevie Skinner, and Emily Inkpen, with music by Dr. Alan Stroud. Chauffeur Service was written and recorded near the very beginning of Season 1, and, in its original form, we struggled to place it in the chronology of the series. In the last few months, we've revisited it and tweaked it into a bonus interlude that would sit between episodes 5 and 6 Part 1.
Over here.
What are you doing here, Raya?
Well, they want you, Isra Dex. No messing about. So they sent me.
Of course they did.
Your kit's in the back. She's not my choice of transport, but they said you might be sick or something, and I'm not going to let you puke in my fighter.
Yeah, fair enough.
You've looked better. Are you sure you're ready to go back?
Well, it's either the battlefield or the lab at the moment. And I am sick of the lab.
Fair enough.
Closing rear hatch. Rear hatch secured. Initiating launch protocols.
Right, let's get this thing in the air. Are you going to be sick?
No, Raya. It's okay. I'm just tired. What is it?
Well, it's just, we know you have treatments. We have treatments, but ours aren't like yours. You go away for a week and come out different. Or the same. We never know what's going on.
You're not really allowed to.
I know.
That doesn't mean you can't ask. I mean, not in front of the others. But you can ask.
Am I that different to the others?
Your fleet. A pilot, not army. You report to Idris, not us. It's a bit different.
I suppose that's fair. So what happens in there is...
In the lab?
Yeah. I mean, why were you getting top-up treatment and Varian and Ren weren't?
You mean, why are you playing chauffeur to just me?
Well, yeah, I guess.
Our treatments are all tailored to us, so Varian and Ren's are slightly different, and mine are sometimes really different in how they're put together. Anyway, sometimes I get different side effects to them.
Okay, because you're a girl?
I guess.
But you all got the ocular albinism. You all went blind.
Yeah, so the effects have to be the same, but the way they get there has to be different. We shared that side effect.
It must have been horrible for you. We were 9 when it happened, right? I remember Tristan making us fight you.
You must have loved beating us up back then.
I mean, it was fun to get some hits in, but looking back on it, it was a bit cruel.
Cruelty survives. Stick a blindfold on me now and I would still kick your asses. That wouldn't be true if I'd never gone blind. It took Devek and Osa over a year to make our mechanical irises, and they're way better than natural eyes. You know that. You've got one.
Thanks to Idris. If he hadn't stuck up for me, I'd have been written off and given to Devik for experimentation.
It was shrapnel, right?
Yep. Intercepting South Jackran Air Force when they infringed on North Jackran airspace. A boring battle and a crappy injury to show for it. And now I've got one blue eye, like yours, and one of my own green ones.
Didn't you want the set?
Sure, but I'm not you. I don't get the choice.
For the record, neither do I. I wouldn't choose any of this.
Oh, so you don't like being better than the rest of us?
I like being better at fighting. So yeah, sure, I like it. I hate what it takes to get there. Not gonna lie, right now I feel terrible. Varian doesn't like fighting much, but he likes being enhanced, mostly for the girls. Ren likes the fighting, but he hates being enhanced.
Okay, that surprises me. They're so full of themselves and so good at it.
Maybe they come across like that. I guess we all do.
So, Varian likes being enhanced for the girls. Why doesn't Ren like being enhanced?
Because he hates being a tool, and every time he looks in the mirror, he's reminded of what he is. Our bodies are functional, not free. That's how he describes it.
What about you?
What do you mean?
What do you think of your body, Isra?
It does what I need it to do. I'm strong enough, fast enough, flexible enough. It's enough. It's not really my body. It doesn't belong to me.
Which, I guess, is Ren's point.
I suppose so.
What about your scars?
I like my scars.
All of them? They're kind of everywhere.
You see, this one?
It's hard to miss.
That was Varian. We were 10 and had just got our eyesight back. The focus was throwing me off and he caught me with his axe.
I remember that thing. You used it for ages. You were lucky it didn't take your arm off.
Yep. This one was Ren. We were trying to settle who had the best skills with a spear.
I guess he won that one.
He didn't. You should see the scar I gave him.
Who was that one?
Hain Doss. I paid him back, Raya. Trust me. All these scars are the happy times. I mean, yes, they hurt, but at least they never made me sick.
How you doing after Domina?
I'm fine.
It amazes me you're able to go back into battle. Aren't you scared you'll get taken again?
I've already told you I don't have a choice. If anyone tries it again, they'll die. I'll kill them. Or Ren, or Varian. One way or another, it'll be the last thing they do.
Still, it must be scary.
I don't get scared, I get angry. If I got scared, I wouldn't be able to fight, and I have to fight. I don't want to talk about this. Let's change the subject. What's it like getting your treatments?
I'm sorry.
It's fine. Talk.
Well, we know they're like watered down versions of what you get, which sucks because we get all the pain and half the attention. I mean, if something goes wrong with you, you're in the lab to get fixed. If something goes wrong with us, we're in the hospital to survive. Or not. How many have we lost to bad side effects now?
There were 21 of us to start off with, and now there are 10. 2 died before we were 5. Mikrin and Pasha were side effects.
Yaz, Benoit, and Grey were killed in training.
We're missing one.
Thessa.
Oh, yeah. Thessa.
So half to side effects.
Sounds about right.
I don't like those odds.
They're not strategically sound. Although The older we've got, the less of us have died. It's almost a year since Grey. Yas was another year before him.
You think this is it then? Us survivors are going to make it?
I hope every day.
What about the younger ones?
Some are promising. Again, I hope. What about the fleet?
What about it?
Well, Idris has Angel City, but Osa's designing a new airship.
She is?
Oh, you probably weren't meant to know that.
Well, I know now. Tell me.
It's called the Heaven One. It's smaller, sleeker. That's all I know.
How much smaller?
Not much, but size isn't everything when you've got the tech.
No, but when you're parking your airship next to another airship, you want to make an impression. Otherwise, what's the point?
Your pilots are ridiculous.
How come?
It's like me saying I want to be as muscly as Varian. I don't. I just want to be as deadly.
I think you're probably more deadly than Varian is.
I am definitely more deadly than Varian.
And you call me ridiculous?
Initiating descent protocols.
Let me out, Raya. I can jump the last bit. Then you can get back to your fighter and have some real fun.
Like this trip hasn't been a blast?
Lowering rear hatch.
Always a pleasure, Raya. Stay alive.
You too.
Closing rear hatch. Rear hatch secured. Initiating launch protocols. Thank you for listening to Chauffeur Service, a Dex Legacy bonus interlude starring Stevie Skinner as Raya, Kelsey Griffin as Isra, and Emily Inkpen as Auto. Chauffeur Service was written by me, Emily Inkpen, and it was produced by Alternative Stories. Music was by Dr. Alan Stroud with effects from freesound.org. If you've enjoyed listening to Season 1 of The Dex Legacy, you'll be pleased to know that plans for Season 2 are well underway, and we hope to be recording in early spring. As making audio drama is expensive, we're looking for funding to support the production process and to pay our actors. If you'd like to help, you can do so in a number of ways. First, you can buy exclusive Dex Legacy merchandise from our store, where we have t-shirts in every style, hoodies and sweatshirts, mugs and stickers. Second, you can make a simple direct donation via our Ko-fi site. Third, you can sign up to our mailing list, where we'll be sending out details of sponsorship opportunities for our actors and episodes, plus online sessions and workshops with our team, so you can get a behind-the-scenes look at the making of the show and meet members of our cast and crew. You can find links to all of these via our website, thedexlegacy.com. This is our last episode of 2022, and we'd like to give our heartfelt thanks to all of you who have listened, liked, followed, reviewed, said hello on social media, and purchased from our store this year. Your love and support means the world to us, and we can't wait to bring you more in 2023. We'll end this bonus edition with a trailer for an audio drama we think you'll enjoy. Darkstead is a small town in deepest British Columbia, hiding a number of secrets and strange characters. We'll post the links you need to find out more about the show and how to listen in the show notes.
Deep in the heart of British Columbia lies a town buried away in dense forest. This is Darkstead.
Arresting humans, apprehending werewolves, so much more at this great town still to see. The fact that you're not human either makes it even better.
Maybe having you around will cheer up sweet Detective Nathaniel Silver here.
I don't need cheering up. We have one non-negotiable rule in this town. Do you remember?
Don't ever go in the forest.
Don't ever go in the forest.
Kirk Willard, you just radioed in. His wife Ellen has gone missing.
Mr. Willard, it's the police.
I won't have a demon near this house!
Before she got her claws into Kirk, she lived a different,
life.
Darkstead is a remarkable place.
Maybe, if we're lucky, Eleanor might just reappear.
Good day, Darkstead. We apologize for interrupting your normal programming. We have an important announcement. The mayor and sheriff's office asks all townsfolk to stay indoors. There's been unexpected events overnight.
Any emergencies should be radioed in to Miss Bernice. Lock your doors. Keep each other close. And have a great day.
This is Lave Radio. LaveRadio.com.
Barkeep, give me another.
Transaction denied.
I'm sorry, Commander. Your credit has run out.
Space.
Double Lavian.
Alright for some.
I used to be like you. Hold empty, tanks dry, cops picking on you everywhere. Drunk your last credits too, I bet.
What's it to you?
You want to check in with Null, pal, before you start renting out your spleen to a biotech.
Null? What's that then?
They picked me up after I ended up looking like you. Support, training, missions, backup. They helped me. Now I help them.
You're having a laugh, mate. Where is this bunch then?
LTT 4961, Conway City. Show up, give them some help, and your rough days are over.
We are Null. Find us at tinyurl.com/join Null.
Conway City.
Probably want to shower first, though.
This episode is fondly dedicated to the memory of Nick James, who played Senator Havelock in Series 2 of Escape Velocity. A courageous and dedicated performer, Nick was taken from us far too soon, and we will miss him greatly.
What's that? Polly want a cracker? Polly want a cracker? Silly bird.
Incoming communication.
Hold on. Coming.
Coming through. I'm Mr. Dusty. Give me your trash.
I'm shoo, you silly droid.
Give me your trash.
I don't have any trash for you.
In this month's most beautiful home holiday, presenter Ian Shadwell described me as an essential companion.
Oh, whatever is the matter with you? Get away!
Dr. Carl Linsky.
Yes? What is it?
This is Vin Vinge from Mercury Gal Shipping. We're due to deliver your weekly supplies from Game and Dock. I'm afraid we've had to push the delivery back.
Oh, what is the matter now?
The only pilot we have rated for your ring system has been diverted to a priority job.
I thought I was your priority job.
I'm sorry, our insurance doesn't allow unrated pilots to deliver to your residence.
So what am I supposed to do for food and filters?
We'll get a replacement service out to you in 2 standard days.
Oh, don't bother. I'll take my own shuttle out. And you can expect that I will start looking for a new service. Now, where are we with the plants? Yes, the dahlias. Outright the sons of terror, thundering day. Ow! House?
What is the matter, Dr. Linsky?
The display case just closed on my fingers. What is the matter with your autonomic sensors?
I will address the matter. I'm Mr. Dustin.
Ow! Watch where you're going. You banged right into me.
Give me your trash.
No! Get away!
Give me your trash.
Stop!
Time for dinner.
What's the matter with you all?
What shall we eat?
What?
Preparing meal. Deploying knives.
Wait! No!
Setting blades to meat mode. Slicing.
No! Wait!
Give me your trash.
I didn't tell her anything. Anything.
Give me your trash. Give me your trash. Give me your trash.
Amid the stars in the sky, humanity expands and thrives as it pushes back the boundaries of the universe.
From the luxury of the core systems to the harsh worlds of the frontier, men still fight. Some fight for survival or greed. Some fight for a flag and others for retribution. But across the lonely darkness, they all share one aim: to be elite.
Escape Velocity, an Elite Dangerous audio adventure serial written and produced by Christopher Jarvis. Series 3, Episode 2, Mod Cons.
I don't know if I can explain it. Once upon a time you learned that apples were food, and you don't have to work out what makes your arm muscles move. When you move your hand to pick up an apple, you don't stop to think about what an apple is. You just extend your arm and take the fruit.
I don't see what this has to do with Kurlek.
What I can do, it isn't magic or mind reading. I see your clothes, your hair, the way you handle yourself in 0G. Tells me everything about you. Your job, your attitude, your fighting ability, your background. And that's before you even speak.
Show me something.
It's not a party trick.
When we're running together as a crew, I need to know every skill of every person on board. It's a tough universe. You never know when something will make the difference.
Then you're in luck. I can feel a demonstration coming.
What the hell is this system we're jumping to?
It's a lead.
The hell it is? It's nothing to do with my case, and I've made it very clear that we need to return to federal security ASAP.
Relax, it's on the way.
It is not. And even if it were, I haven't authorized a stop. My instructions are to bring you both in.
Thane is the commander. It's his call.
Thane is a criminal, a fugitive, and as far as the corporations are concerned, an escaped slave. His status in free systems is dependent on his cooperation with me.
Right. What if you could bring your handler a second big arrest?
What?
You've been underestimated for a long time. They stuck you out on the frontier in deep cover. A gamble to flush out Colmac Reed. If you didn't succeed, at least you were out of the way. But now you're coming back. What if you landed a second, bigger fish?
Bigger fish?
You're about to fly past evidence of a half-century conspiracy of illegal weapons research. Don't you think it would impress your Director of Federal Security if you found it?
It would impress.
Best go and check on navigation.
Better check navigation.
That wasn't funny.
You wanted a demonstration.
But it's not just insight. You had her under some kind of control.
There's a level of mesmeric influence, but you'd be surprised how receptive people are when they're told what they want to hear.
Try it on me.
No.
Come on. At least tell me what you see.
I see how much you care about me.
Well, I feel responsible for you. A kid like you shouldn't be running around on a ship like this in the first place.
It's more than that. And it's sweet. But I really don't need a father.
No, way off the mark. I don't need a daughter.
And your family. Andrew was the last person you had. Now she's dead. I'm all you have left.
Stop.
Sorry. I didn't want to use the power on you. I never have. I didn't even ask for it. It was the family. They came for me and finished my training. And Kurlek sold me out to them.
So you marooned him?
He didn't mean to hurt me. I think he was scared. Weak. Stupid. None of our lives were worth taking a risk for. Not for him.
You dumped him on a planet. Isn't that worse?
He's no spacer. He'll be fine on a planet. But once you see people the way I see them, you see all their strengths, all their flaws. If you know enough about expected future events, you can even predict their behavior. Kurlek would have caused both of our deaths. Eventually.
So that's that.
He made a deal in exchange for me. Let's hope it was worth it.
Prisoner will stand. Prisoner will confirm name.
Anders Kurlik.
Anders Kurlik. Identity confirmed. You have been sentenced to a Rockforth Corporation private restitution facility.
What about my trial?
Your trial has been conducted, and you have been found guilty.
I don't remember that.
Your presence was not required. The evidence was presented and challenged by Rockforth Corporation evidence assessment units, and the level of your guilt was measured.
Machines? Machines considered my evidence?
The evidence assessment units use adjudication algorithms to balance evidence for and against.
Wait, what about Dallas? Dallas was supposed to be making me a deal in exchange for a pardon.
Scanning. There is no record of mitigating evidence in the system.
I should have known.
The length of your sentence is indefinite. You will provide labor and skills to the Rockforth Corporation until such time as the financial damage you have inflicted against the corporation and its members have been repaid. This is a fair sentence.
Fair? What do machines know about fair? Do these machines know about the colonies Rockforth keep in artificial poverty? Children born deformed, but for the cost of a few measly drugs?
The evidence assessment units avoid unmeasurable and emotionally driven items of evidence. Considered evidence included your breaches of technology patent and your legal transgressions in Rockforth control systems. Prison Transport B26354 is loading for departure. Sentence to begin immediately.
Wait, can I just say something in my defense?
Prisoner processed. Returning to low power mode.
This isn't May's coordinates. What are we doing here?
Refueling, mostly. I'm going to sell the stuff we picked up at Bedaho. Meat's not a big payday, but the gold taint is rare and it should cover the refuel cost.
Why don't we just scoop fuel?
Unnecessary risk. Remember what happened last time?
I remember that I handled it. I don't see why we waste our time with these places.
Get used to it. Jumping station to station, buying and selling. This is the life I'm trying to get back to. Once Sark lets me off the leash.
We'll see. There's got to be more excitement out there.
Wow, she's arrogant.
She's going through a lot. She used to be different.
There's something about her. I'm sure I was trying to...
So, what about FedSec? Or don't you have some kind of budget we can use to bring us in? This trip will go a lot quicker if we can fly empty and keep the raiders bored.
What kind of budget?
I thought you super spies had a lockbox in every station. Papers, credits and guns stashed in a locker.
No. The universe is a big place. That's a lot of boxes. Even considering that, Beta Pictoris is nowhere. Remember, I was in deep cover. That means no guns, no papers.
Great.
Tell you what, though. Get those meat crates unloaded and I'll treat you to a burger.
Cheers.
Computer, repeat scan for stored target.
Craft designated escape velocity. Currently landed at Game and Dock.
Caught up with you at last. My guiding light.
Requesting docking clearance.
Cancel. This port is too busy. I'll wait for them to leave and tail them. I wish to share my... Why do I keep saying that? Why do you make me feel like this, Thane? I'm sure I've met you. You're a nobody. I never felt the pull. Now, you're all I can think about. I will share my darkness with you. I will share my darkness. I will share my darkness. I will share.
I don't like this system. White stars make everything so cold, like all the colour's gone from the world. I think this is a mistake.
Look, what's the problem? It's hardly out of the way, and as May says, this Dr. Linsky might have some useful evidence.
If it's so important, why can't I find anything on his work?
May thinks the evidence might have been deleted.
Oh, great, one of those. The great conspiracy theories of our time. Look, I have top security privileges. Not even top. I have crazy security privileges. When I travel, I have to use a fake ID just because the Emperor and the President, frankly, would personally shake me up and down for all the information that might fall out. And I'm telling you, if there's no data on this guy having worked for Federation Research, then he's never worked for Federation Research.
It's important to May, so it's important to me. And she's usually pretty spot on with her hunches.
Do you trust her?
Someone asked me that before, not very long ago. He ended up selling May out. What are you trying to say?
Looks like we're coming up on the rings. Can you handle the approach, or do you want me to fly?
Pretty sure I can handle my own ship, thanks. What am I looking for?
Dr. Linsky's home. The coordinates I have indicate it's somewhere within the rings.
What kind of an idiot builds their home inside rings?
Usually someone who wants to lead a very quiet life and has enough resources to pay for countermeasures.
Wait, what? What kind of countermeasures?
The kind strong enough to stop stray rocks falling through your roof. Rings can be unpredictable, and we should be careful. FIS profiling has ring dwellers down as retired crime bosses or assassins for hire. People that appreciate their solitude and don't take kindly to visits.
She's right. We'd best go prepared.
Where'd you get that?
On Game and Dock? I figured we'd need protection. What's the problem? You carry a gun. You think I can't handle it?
I don't doubt it. But where did you get the credits? That's a pretty good model. Expensive.
Oh, I convinced the store to make me a promotional gift. They'd be happy to see their gun on the glossy pages of the magazines. It's one of the trials of being a major hollow celeb.
What? You're famous? Oh, this is all we need.
She's not famous.
No, but they came to think I am. People are so gullible.
May, you can't just do things like that.
Why not? Come on, it's not as though our trips are strictly legal.
People will notice. You'll draw attention.
Attention I can handle. You're always saying every member of the crew should bring something to the ship. Well, I just increased our firepower.
It's just... It isn't like you.
How do you know what's like me and what isn't? How are you supposed to know if even I can't figure it out? Forget it.
May!
And I thought my family was bad.
Can you go make sure she's strapped in? We're coming up to the rings and I need to fly us through. Could get bumpy.
Sure. But I think you answered my question.
Meters.
I still don't see anything. Sark?
Nothing on the scope. Bad coordinates, maybe? A false trail?
No, this is the place.
Hang on. What's that?
Got it. There's a comms array. On a tether from one of the big rocks.
Looks like it. Completely dead, though. No power.
I'll check out the rock. Now that is a house. Dome encloses the entire crater.
Space? Are those trees?
Looks like a garden. He's practically terraformed the inside of the asteroid.
Enough for oxygen?
Hard to say from out here.
A couple of his books were about boosting crop yield in colonies in low G.
I'd say he took his work home with him.
I hope so.
No lights on anywhere. We'll have to land with the beams. I thought it was dead.
Countermeasures. On a separate circuit.
Probably designed to keep rocks away.
Scanning projectile. Nothing. No circuits, no guidance. That is one dumb rocket.
Missed us. Keep going.
Yeah, sure.
This is bad. I've got 4 objects on scope. Wait, they're all gonna miss. Stay on this heading.
Okay. If you think it's... What was that?
Scanning.
Thane, on the cockpit. It's some kind of mesh.
Our vector's drifting. We're being pulled away.
Pace, it's a dragnet. It thinks we're a meteoroid and it's using rockets to push us away from the dome.
I'm powering down.
Wait!
The countermeasures have stopped.
So, it looks like we're landing outside the crater and walking in.
Who's going?
We all go.
We've only got 2 EVA suits.
What kind of idiot only has 2 suits?
Hey, for a ship designed for 1, 2 is pretty good.
Sark and I will go. Isn't that right?
What? No.
I have to go. I need to talk to Dr. Linsky. If he's here. Sark needs to bring her knowledge of federal research documents. See if anything looks familiar. Someone needs to keep an eye on the ship. It's only logical.
I don't like you going off on your own.
I won't be on my own. Isn't that right, Sark?
Sure.
With all her training, I'm sure she can protect me. I'll suit up.
And who's going to protect me?
Where are you, Thane? What's so important in these rings? I wish to... No! Stop! I must focus. Focus on Thane. Alpha 39. My Alpha. My guiding light. Computer. Scan rings for Merlin Fighter.
Unable to comply. Interference level at 76%.
No engine signals.
No energy signatures detected.
Nothing at all? Then what's here? You'll have to move sometime, 39. Just spark up your engines for me. A light to guide the way. A light for me to illuminate my darkness. I wish to share my darkness. I wish to share my darkness.
Should I ask why May's suit says property of Duval Terminal on the back?
I wouldn't.
What someone really needs to invent is a truck you can carry on a ship for these kind of landings.
What for?
Well, you know, instead of landing miles from anywhere and having to walk to an airlock, you could just drive in.
It's less than 1,000 meters.
I know. It's just hard going in this suit.
Where would you put it?
I don't know. Cargo bay?
Then where would May sleep?
Yeah.
I'd be pretty strapped for cargo space as it is. Some kind of buggy would be an expensive prop for only occasional use.
Okay, not the cargo bay then. Under the cockpit? You're sitting on a lot of shit. Can't all be important.
Maybe you should patent that.
Yeah. Remind me when we get to the core.
Shh. Hold back. We're coming up on the service entry. Looks like an airlock cut right through the rock into the side of the crater.
Anything?
Nothing. No security trips, no droids. Looks like the monitor camera is powered off.
No one's home.
Maybe. May, what are you doing?
There's a terminal. I can hack the airlock door. Cycle it locally. We won't find anything out here.
Be careful.
There's air here. I don't know if the oxygen is on a protected circuit or whether the doctor's plantation is providing it all. It's cold though. We'd best keep these suits on.
Do that, in case you have to leave in a hurry.
From what? There's no one here.
The rock walls are too thick. Thane, we're going to lose communication. Hold tight. We'll check back in 20 minutes.
May, be careful. Getting radar static.
Use your suit lights.
Well, what do you want to do?
You don't trust me, do you, Sark?
What's to trust? I don't know you.
It's more than that. You look at me like you don't ever want to turn your back.
I just don't understand you. The petulant teenager bit, I get that plenty. Seen it all. But not many teenagers handle themselves the way you do. Or other people. That airlock took you less than 10 seconds to open.
I've seen that model before.
Right. Like you signed into the Bedaho Hospital under false records. I suppose you've seen their security system before, too.
I told Thane we'd check back in 20. We should split up. I'll check the upper decks for the doctor. You check around down here. Maybe the systems are down for repair and he's in the maintenance level.
Do you really believe that?
There's no point believing anything until you have something in front of you. We'll meet back at the airlock in 15 minutes to radio into Thane. Dr. Linsky? Dr. Linsky, forgive me. I really need to see you and talk to you. I'm in the main living cell. Lights are out. No sign of life.
I'm trying to find the maintenance bay. Jeez, this guy kept a lot of junk.
He was a sentimentalist. There's a lot of framed pictures up here. If we're lucky, he kept something important.
If we don't get buried under it first.
3199, seeing in the new year with Sabis and Co, Beta Hydri. A fine view of the top of the world Lauren family, Hoopy's Bar, 3178. This one. That's my father, standing with Dr. Linsky and a group of researchers. Dreaming of a bigger tomorrow, the team that writes dreams, Echidna, 3196. My father. Oh! Now that's a lot of blood.
Come on, damn it. Oh, open!
Stark, come in.
Yeah?
I found Dr. Linsky.
Great, where is he?
All over the room from what I can tell.
He's dead.
I've never seen anyone alive in that many pieces. There aren't many big chunks. It's like he's been diced.
Witching hell. What happened?
The cuts are razor sharp, but there's no sign of any machinery.
I think I found the utility pod. Trying to get access now.
Be careful. I'm going to search for hard copies.
Okay. Keep an eye on the clock. Okay. If I can just... Got it. Looks like a pretty standard maintenance core. Emergency lighting, water regulator... Power! May, I found the power circuit.
Don't turn the main power back on.
I'm not a rookie. Although if this house is trapped, I don't see anything.
Can you get the data network back up for me? The doctor had a terminal in his desk. I want to know what was on it.
Oh, sure. Try this one.
Computer network restarted. Initializing house protocol. Recharging service robots.
Got it. The computers are coming online. Let's see what you've got, Doctor.
Anything?
I knew it. He kept a copy of his own book.
Great. Can you transfer it to the ship?
No. Something's taken out the wireless network. I can't see anything. Not even RIG.
Is there any research data on there?
Not recently, but there's a bunch of archives going back years. Sealed, but I can probably get in.
Take your time.
Computer, search. May Havelock.
May Havelock was born in 3185 on Topaz, Fasis. The younger child of Imperial Senator Tobias Havelock and renowned business leader Absalom Havelock. She deferred a military career to work for the Echidna Corporation. Her tenure terminated with her death in 3216, aged 30 years.
I'm dead. Is there a picture? It's me, but older. She looks happy. Younger child. Computer, show records for May Havelock's family.
Accessing. Found. Havelock, Senator Tobias J. Found. Havelock, Director Absalom. Found. Havelock, Baron Bryant R.
Dallas. My brother was Dallas.
Charging complete. Deploying domestic service.
I'm Mr. Dustin. Give me your trash.
Accessing menu roster. Accessing override patch. Codename Echidna. Slicing mode enabled.
Echidna, it's here.
Accessing archive 3215.5.7.01.
We may have to move the lab again. There have been rumors of a federal inspection of the Echidna facility. Director Havelock is talking about a mobile solution, a ship or a station. Oh, she may be right. This is the third move in as many years. The Federation frustrates me. The ones who want to close us down and the ones who want to buy our technology are almost certain they report to the same committee. I tire of humanity's laws, their squeamishness and their hypocrisy. But if that is the price of breaking ground in this science, then so be it.
Accessing archive 3215.5.4.01.
The new batch continued to exceed all expectations. The Walden process represents a quantum leap in our ability to create stable clones. The addition of memory therapy has alleviated many of the droned characteristics of previous batches, but names are important. And of course we allocate them numbers, but many give names to themselves. From books they've read, hollows they've seen, pictures. More disturbing is when a clone selects the name belonging to the genetic progenitor. This is not part of the memory therapy. Whence this knowledge comes, I cannot say. The Havelocks find it most disturbing, but I have convinced them to stop liquidating these specimens. For now.
May, come in. I think I've got movement.
Hang on. These archives are everything I've been looking for.
Can we take it?
You'll have to pull the cores from the server room, but just give me a minute. I don't want to risk losing this. There must be something later. There must be.
Accessing archive 3220.3.23.01.
These new modifications are unconscionable. These children we are training are not expendable. To fill them with biotoxins and turn them into genetically triggered bombs is an outrage. They are individuals with memory and intelligence and skills. They have so much knowledge. There are times when I feel they are better than us. Maybe some of them think it too. Perhaps it's time for me to retire. I've spent too long on this station. Too long away from trees and lakes and things that grow. I'm getting old. Maybe I'm done here. Going forward, I expect I will be...
Record terminated unexpectedly. Data deleted.
No! Cancel deletion.
Deletion not a house function. External deletion triggered.
I've got to stop this.
May, the server cage just lit up. What's happening?
The files are being stripped. Pull them.
What?
Rip the data cores out. There's some kind of foreign code in the house's systems. We've got to pull storage before the worm deletes everything. Sark, what's happening?
It's the house robot! They killed Dr. Linsky! They've gone crazy!
Sark?
Oh, another one down. Come on. Yeah. Okay, next one. One more. Come on!
Time for dinner.
That sounds big. Oh, witching hell!
Time for dinner. Preparing meat.
May I go company?
Slicing.
Space, what is that thing made of?
Thank you for your inquiry. My food preparation attachments are made from the finest toughened platyridium for prolonged cooking live and food hygiene.
I am not going to be diced by dinnerware! Oh, space! May!
Get down!
Damage detected.
Did you get them?
I'm fine, by the way.
I could see that. Did you get them?
Yes, they're here.
Let's go then, come on!
You okay?
I think so.
Sark?
Still in one piece.
Let's get moving.
New radar contact.
What's that?
I don't know. Security? Police?
No. Interplanetary shuttle. Coming in fast. Way too fast. Look out!
Whoa! What the hell are they doing?
Trying to kill us?
They're coming round again. Brace yourselves.
Space, that was close.
The pilot?
What about him?
Well, it looked like a Mr. Dusty.
Proximity alert.
I'm Mr. Dusty. Give me your trash.
Reconfiguring ramming vector.
Give me your trash.
One of the robots from the house. It'll kill us.
Not if I have anything to do with it.
Watch out for the rocks.
What do you think I'm looking out for?
Stop dancing around and shoot it.
I can't just turn and fire. It's calculating collision vectors. If I can't destroy it, it'll fly right into us.
But it's a tiny ship.
Yeah, and hard to hit. Still big enough to make a mess of us. Getting a lock.
It's not working.
Firing.
It's still coming.
Brace for impact.
Give me your trash. Give me your trash.
New radar contact.
I'm Mr. Dusty.
What was that?
A new radar contact. Took out the shuttle. Saved us. They're coming about. Looks like they're stopping.
Hail them.
Sure, give me a sec.
Thane.
It'll be fine. Target craft, come in. Target craft?
No response.
Target craft, this is the escape velocity. We wanted to thank you for that save. Are you okay?
It's Dallas.
Dallas. What are you doing here?
I've come to share my darkness.
In episode 2 of Escape Velocity, Christopher Jarvis played Thane, Amy Timms, May, Liam Macaulay, Dallas, and Janet Westwood Wilson played Sark. Andy Seacombe was Dr. Linsky, Dean Sheridan the cooking droid, James Trott the courier, and Verity Croft was the computer. Mr. Dusty was played by himself. Escape Velocity was written and produced by Christopher Jarvis with music by Alan Stroud and is a Radio Theatre Workshop production. Elite Dangerous is copyright Frontier Developments. For more information and full credits, please visit escapevelocity.laveradio.com.
Hello and welcome to Lave Radio.
Greetings and welcome to Lave Radio.
Greetings, Commanders.
Greetings, Commanders. A show that talks about the universe of Elite
And the development of the computer game Elite 4, known as Elite Dangerous.
and the fantastic
community that surrounds it.
Broadcast from an orange Sidewinder and hosted by a vending machines technician.
A place of nonsense and innuendo for forum dads. A self-contained podcast 2 hours long.
Transmitting to every corner of the galaxy.
It's even louder than me.
The hottest show this side of Dizzo.
The name of the place.
Lave Radio.
Lave Radio.
Lave Radio.
Lave Radio.
Greetings, Commanders, and welcome to episode 422 of Lave Radio, the hottest show this side of Dizzo. This is the show that talks about the universe of Elite and the fantastic community that surrounds it. I am your host of Christmas Past, second technician Fozza Forrester, and joining me in the Orange Sidewinder bar for this episode are the chief bar steward here at the OSB, Mr. Grant Psycho Cow Wilcock.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Ooh. Hello.
We also have our very own apprentice stunt driver, Alec Turner.
Help! I'm surrounded by strangers. Help!
I know the feeling, trust me. Our tech monkey here is also Commander Ventura, otherwise known as Norman MacArthur.
Hi there. Hello.
So, guys, if you wish, you can join us live. We're hanging out in game in open at the Orange Sidewinder bar near Planet Lave. If you can't get into game, you can also join the Twit? Oh, this is going wrong already. The Twitch chat channel, which you can access through layradio.com/live and clicking on live chat, and on twitch.tv/layradio. So, to say it's been a while since I did this would be a massive understatement. So please bear with me, and of course lower your expectations for the quality of today's episode accordingly. I'm guessing we still run around the crew and find out what everybody's been up to. So if that's the case, and then because it's nearly Christmas, I'm going to ask you what you've been up to since the last episode, and also a couple of Christmas-themed questions. So this is the last show before the big guy in red makes his way from Shinra to Desra, avoiding Thargoid interceptors and making sure his sleigh's running in sort of silent running to get past station security and ensure he makes all of his deliveries on time. So with that in mind, I'm going to ask you all what your favourite stocking present was as a child, and then fast forward to today and what gift you are looking forward to either giving or receiving most this year. And let's start off with you, Grant.
Cheers. Right, what have I been up to since the last episode I was on? Well, I've been, working on that bathroom. One day. Just leave it, right? Unless you're prepared, like our Canadian friend, to come all the way up here to help out, only to nearly die in the process.
No, that sounds like a lot of stories I'm missing here.
It's almost there. We're still just at the tiling stage. We've now got one whole wall tiled and another half wall tiled. We've got that half to finish and then a quarter of this wall to do. So this summer, when the summer comes round, we'll get that finished and it'll all be good. I just saw a fantastic comment from, is it Winter Mute? Who says it's a bit early for the ghosts of Christmas past, isn't it? I think he means us. So it should be quite interesting because, I've not been on for a while. Have recently just sort of reconnected with Elite in the last sort of 2 months. And we'll just give it a big sort of cheers on my Lave Radio tankard here to everyone out there. If you're having a drink tonight, cheers. Good health to you all. Right, stocking presents. From childhood, I used to, always get the big orange had a navel at the bottom of it for some reason, because my mum would go for these big orange. It always had a navel, just a weird bottom bit, and an apple. And then generally it would be a couple of gifts from under the tree that are small, and it usually always had chocolate mice. Now, or chocolate teddy bears. She never remembered who got what every year, so it changed it every year. And I still get them now, so I'll look forward to that. Because all of our mothers are hopeless when it comes to these kind of things. We're having a bit of a reduced Christmas this year just because of the cost of living and all those kind of really boring things. But also we've been trying to remortgage our house for since August. And it's just, we found out in that process that actually it was when we bought it, they never completed conveyancing.
No.
So it's never been registered in the land registry. And so until we resolve that issue, I suppose it means I just don't have to pay my mortgage, because they can't take it off me if I can't remortgage it.
But this is it. There must be all sorts of taxes you shouldn't have to pay if your house doesn't officially exist.
Yeah, I think you've got squatter rights, surely.
Squatter rights, on the street. There's no house here.
It's cold. So other than that, so Christmas I'm going to have my daughter's away. She's away down to Hull with her boyfriend, which is a wonderful gift that she's giving us this year.
You're an ass.
But then on one handeth you're given something, and on another handeth it's taken away when Dylan says, "Can I bring my flatmate and her boyfriend?" And you're like, "Oh, I was so close to getting out of it." Yeah, but I do enjoy cooking, so I'm looking forward to the sort of Christmas meal and prep. And oh crikey, it'll be a chicken, there'll be roast potatoes, there will be handmade chicken breast nuggets, there will be, crikey, you name it, we'll knock it out for everyone in the house. And everyone has different dietary requirements, and nobody likes the same things. So,
So you better start cooking now then. It's not too early for the hosts of Christmas past, but it's probably about the right time for you to starting cooking your Christmas dinner.
Yes. Who's the host? Well, Alex, the host of the Christmas present. So
who's future?
We need a new host for the future. Chat, who's out there? Who's up for it?
Yes, we need a host of future.
I mean, we've run out of all the current hosts at the minute. They're all down with various.
Yeah, we should probably explain. Yeah, shouldn't we? We should probably explain where everybody is. So, unfortunately, the wonderful sidekick has calmed down with COVID. Ben is still unwell, so he's not making it. The wonderful Ed Levice. And Colin was supposed to be joining us tonight, but got some tragic news that a fox had got in to his rabbit hutch and has unfortunately caused the demise of their family rabbits. So obviously not in the mood to come and make merry with us on the podcast. So no condolences, and also get well soons to all the rest of the crew that aren't here. Now you understand why it is that we were scraping the bottom of the barrel by getting me on to actually host the podcasts.
I just think we've been lured in under false pretenses, and I think now that they've got us in here, we're not getting out. That's it. We're here forever now. They're not coming back.
What is this? The Sidewinder California?
You're lucky I'm here.
Yeah.
Or not.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. Have you got the keys? Have you got the keys? Can you let us out at the end of the show?
Keys
just in case.
To the liquor cabinet. Yeah.
Oh man, funny. Alec, what about you, mate? What about the thinking back to your past? What was your favourite thing that you always look forward to and getting in your Christmas stocking? And what are you looking forward to this year?
I can't remember that. I mean, Christmas stockings were pretty classic. There's that thing you used to get, and they seem ridiculously small these days. I'm sure they used to be bigger, but maybe it was just because I was a lot smaller. But there was always the classic Cadbury's selection sort of net stocking. So it was like a net stocking with a backing of cardboard, and it always had like one of each of Cadbury's bars. I used to bloody love getting that, frankly. I don't know why I should buy myself one, because it's the sort of thing you give to the kids. Every year I think I should get myself one of those.
The magic's gone if you buy it yourself, and I think for all kids at that age, it's probably more chocolate than you were allowed to hold in your hand. It's more chocolate that was bigger than your head.
Yeah. What else? We do have a running Christmas tree update for anyone that gives a shit. It's not as good as the bathroom update, but 3 weeks ago we bought a fairly cheap Christmas tree because the nice ones were stupidly expensive, and we were told that its needles would all fall off within 2 weeks. So I just want to report that it still has its needles, but it's now in that state where you have to be very careful not to touch it. If you accidentally brush past it, then you suddenly hear this and there's another inch of needles on the floor. So it's now in a delicate state, and we have 5 more days to go. Hang in there, tree, hang in there.
And what are you looking forward to, either giving or receiving the most?
There is a present I'm looking forward to giving a lot, but the person I'm giving it to is potentially within earshot, so I can't say anymore.
Yep, keep it stum.
But it's a good one. I'm quite looking forward to that. Receiving a stocking with a bit of cardboard and loads of Cadbury's chocolate, please.
And you're now going to be gutted if you don't receive it.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyone listening to this show?
Awesome stuff. Okay, Norman, I know you wanted to sort of sit this one out and be quiet in the background, but I'm going to bring you in for this bit anyway, just because I want to hear about the thing that you're looking forward to receiving, and also your stocking reminiscing.
Stocking would be, wouldn't be stocking. It would actually be when I got my Acorn Electron.
Oh, nice.
I remember in the past when my brother and I got Acorn Electron. Didn't get Elite at that point, but I got it later on. And for this year, I don't know. I really seriously don't know. I was trying to figure that one out. Don't know.
Peace and an end to war.
Absolutely, world peace.
World peace, yes. Yeah, world peace. Anyway, but that seems to have been it.
Yeah, I don't think that's on the cards. I don't think the big man's bringing that to anybody this year at the moment. Not with Putin in charge. Not that we're going to stray into politics and world news or anything, but no, it does seem to be a bit grim this year for certain people. So obviously, thoughts and prayers out to those people that are affected by it. But yes, things. I'm just saying. I'm trying to think. Obviously, I created this question and I never actually thought it through enough to actually think about what I really enjoyed getting in the stocking. So I was hoping that you guys were going to give me a bit of inspiration, and yeah, I've just remembered what I did used to get every year, and I don't know, you can't get, but we used to get, it was chocolates, but it was like Yorkie trucks. So they're made out of cardboard, and then in the back of the truck they had little blocks of Yorkies. Not the sort of pathetic Yorkies that you get these days that have been valued engineered to be like the size of your thumbnail, but thick, proper slabs of Yorkie chocolate individually wrapped as if they were bits of freight that went into the back of the trucks. And we got those for years, and they were the things.
I've never seen that.
No, they were absolutely fantastic, and the challenge was always to see how much of you could eat before your mum woke up and realised that you were eating your stocking. That was always the challenge, and you always went down to open the rest of your presents feeling absolutely bilious and sick. So that was always one to look forward to. And then this year, I'm gonna bow out because the person that I'm giving it to is also in the next room within earshot. So maybe we save that until to next week's show and report back on what we received and what we enjoyed giving. So cool, excellent. Well, guys, let's have a look. What do we do next? Do we jump straight into the development news? I believe there has been some. Yes, post update 14. Known issues. Who wants to pick this one up?
I was going to say you're going to need filling in on this, aren't you? Because you don't know.
I was so
the things that are
confident we're
fixed,
going to it.
let alone the things that are still bugs. Oh, hang on, I've just accidentally done a drag and drop in the show notes and scrambled it. The big issue. So there's this big war going on.
I have heard. Yeah.
Right. So there's a war with the Thargoids. There's a bunch of issues. I think they're things like I think the two big players are the old chestnut of combat zones that don't complete. So invisible Thargoids or Thargoids that bugger off, or so you can never quite kill the last one. Something like that, I think. And the other one that's a real biggie is that the mission boards aren't loading. So you fly down to pick up your kill 5 billion Thargoid Scouts missions, and the mission board spins an hourglass for about a minute and then comes up with zilch. And I don't know if anyone else here knows if that's outside of the war zones, but yeah, mission boards being empty. And Frontier have basically said, we're off on our holidays now, so you're going to have to live with these until January.
Right, which frustrating for those people that want to play it over the holiday periods, but understandable at the same time. I mean, again, I haven't been in game for a while. I'm just jumping back into it, but is that a game breaker or is it just an annoyance?
I suppose it's. I mean, it's a bit of an. Go on.
Yeah. It's not critical. I'm not sure because I've not So I have not involved myself in the Thargoid War yet. I have been involved in running missions on general stuff, BGS stuff, and undermining conflict zones on foot. I love the on foot missions at the moment. I'm absolutely just addicted to just running back and forward, assassinating people, stealing people's pets, putting things in their stock. Am I Santa Claus? No, wait a minute.
Not one that I want to come across.
The missions are fine as far as I can see for standard missions and things, but I think when the Thargoid one, I'm not sure. Are they critical in the battle of giving you tokens towards taking control of the system, in which case that's quite a serious issue? But if it's not critical, so when combat zones are things, for example, it's just about winning the combat zone, and then the bounties is like a little additional part to help swing that arrow towards your victory. And I'm not entirely sure of the mechanics of the Thargoid War. So those missions not loading could be just a sort of limitation on the money and reputation that you could be gaining. But it could, more importantly, if someone's in the chat that knows, or if Alec knows, it might be that they're actually quite critical to that process.
Yeah, well, I guess all those things count. I mean, I hadn't really thought about this, but I guess not having missions means you can't rescue anyone because, you can jump into one of these systems and start killing scouts and racking up the combat bonds. But I guess without missions, you can't you can't rescue anyone, which I'm guessing counts quite significantly. But that said, I think I have seen reports of a few of the sort of Thargoid affected systems already being won this week. So, don't know. Yeah, I'm guessing it's a bit of a pain.
Well, just jumping into that point about rescuing people, just looking in the chat. So we've got Commander Terekov, who I'm sure I've just butchered your names, just mentioned that in Legacy they're having an issue in terms of you cannot search for commanders. So no friends request, which is a massive issue for the people that are in the fuel rats. And having been rescued by the fuel rats in the past, I could imagine that's a hell of a problem.
Yeah.
Not that I run out of fuel these days, but it has been known. So in terms of Legacy, is that just because again catching up with the game? Legacy, just remind me. So that is a fork or a branch of the game which doesn't have the big Thargoid War, yeah?
Yeah, correct. I mean, basically, it's the pre-Odyssey code base.
Okay. What used to be the old just standard Horizons?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think for quite a while there was uncertainty, and I think quite a few people thought they would eventually kill it off completely. That was kind of my view. I quite like the old Horizons planet tech as compared to the Odyssey planet tech. So I was dreading the day when they would kill off the 3.8 client. So actually, the fact that they've given it a name and called it Legacy and made it a thing is kind of good news because it means it's going to live on for a while longer.
Have they given any kind of? Because I've seen some comments that there's a sort of clearly a sort of grey area as to how much development and upkeep is going to go into the legacy mode. Is it just a case of here you go, there's your eggs?
There's none. I mean, there's no CGs, there's no Galnet news. Yeah, I think it's
bug fixing, things like that.
Maybe. I don't think we've. Yeah, I guess so. There was a patch for it. So when update 14 came out, there was a download for. But whether that was purely a sort of final, like a final version, I don't. Yeah, remains to be seen.
Okay, yeah. So it's just unclear at the moment as to what their commitment to the legacy mode will be long term.
I guess Terekov has said it right. Actually, no development, no new content, critical bug fixes only.
Which
and I
kind of
guess
makes
it,
sense, doesn't it?
yeah.
Really. Yeah. In terms of sort of driving forward with the main branch. So cool. Anything else on bug fixes, guys? But I say bug fixes. We haven't actually got any bug fixes. We've just got bugs. Bug fixes
I've
in the new year.
noticed an awful lot of the issues that I've experienced in the ground battles that the people that I've been playing with have been sort of dismissing as bugs. When you sort of dial down to it and try and reproduce them, you then realize that these are the bugs caused by multiplayer. And generally speaking, after a week of having the most annoying things happening and losing missions and just really annoying things, like you land on a planet for a combat zone and you get out of the shuttle and the screen goes black and it never loads in, so you then have to log out, then you log back, and then dumps you on foot outside the Blue settlement. You've then got to run into the settlement and try and work out which one of the people is on the opposition side, shoot them, and that then puts you on the right side because the menu to join doesn't work. And then the member of your group says something like, "Oh, I'm going to have to go, my phone's playing up." And you're like, "You're connected to us through your mobile." And suddenly all these bugs don't seem like they're bugs. They seem more like they're a member of our crew that could do with maybe getting internet in their house.
Oh, that's brilliant.
But I think there are little bugs that are always going to be there that are kind of standard in a game of this size. And I've not sort of followed any from the reports of new content to the sort of fixes of them. But these guys do on a weekly basis. So Alex probably best to sort of confirm how they're doing with their bug fixes. Have they managed to kill off some of these old long-running bugs?
I mean, there's a great many very, very old, long-standing bugs that have just not been fixed. What they used to do, so Fozza may not be aware of this, you guys, but they, on their weekly live streams, and I guess this was up until sort of maybe the end of summer last year, they used to, on their two bi-weekly live streams, do a sort of rundown of the top 20 issues on the issues tracker. Which you can find for yourself. You can search in the issue tracker and get the top 20. So the top 20 acknowledged bugs by number of by number of votes. And for a while they chipped away at that list. And personally, I suspect what happens is they eventually chopped the ones that they could fix out of the list until they ended up with a top 20 list of really difficult bugs to fix. And then suddenly thought, let's sweep this feature under the carpet, guys. So they stopped highlighting the top 20 extremely difficult to fix bugs. And from that point onwards, it's gone a bit quiet on that front.
Maybe it's the sort of thing they should bring back every time they do a new update with all these, these new bugs that they implement into the actual code that are easy to squash again. And then
it was a nice feature.
Yeah,
it was a nice feature in a way. If they could pick and choose bugs to highlight and then fix, it would look quite good. But of course, because we can search their database as well as they can, they can't cheat. They can only highlight the top 20, and those top 20 continue to be extremely difficult to fix bugs.
I mean, that's probably... caption at the bottom of the screen that says, that these bugs have been picked for entertainment purposes.
Yeah.
I mean, talking about the stream, it's probably got a nice segue actually onto Thursday's stream. So that was Frameshift Live 23, the festive special.
Indeed.
You'll have to run us through this because I didn't manage to catch it.
Let me think. I did see it. I skimmed it a bit because I was out and about, but it was So it was a sort of sit down around the sofa style chat. They had Ben and Hannah on, who are from the sort of story team, I suppose. Looking back on the all the story stuff that's been going throughout the year. They had a quiz, which was the devs versus the CMs. They had a nice little interview with David Braben. So Sally interviewed as a pre-recorded interview with David for about 10 minutes.
Was he talking about the fact he still wants to get safaris in the next build and wants to go?
No, it was just sort of reminiscing. Really, it was Yeah, it was nothing. It was nothing.
Did he have a jumper with a logo that went under his armpits?
Oh, that's what we need.
He had his Christmas jumper on. It was
Yes, I totally missed it. And it's one of those things where I really get quite sad. It's like there's a little part. It's a little bit of my heart breaks when it comes to this time of year and there's not a 24-hour stream from Frontier. I mean, I used to sleep in the office with the computer on so that I could wake up for the content throughout the night and still maintain the ability to function as a human being in the morning. But I sorely miss those streams.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I kind of get sad, but I didn't know when it was on and I totally missed it. And I kicked myself for that.
Yeah, it was all right. It was fine. There was a very nice moment. I think a lot of people say this was the highlight. It's very brief, but it's right at the end. And Avantian, who's been working with what's the voice attack profile company?
CS voice packs.
Yeah. So he's been doing some voice recording with William Shatner, I think. And they basically got Shatner to do a little piece to Arthur Tolmie, who's the lead community manager, just sort of telling him that he's heard he's running a tight ship and sort of carry on, Commander. And it basically broke Arthur live on the stream. It was fantastic.
Nice.
Vantian was, I mean, he was super. It's, that thing from being in the truckers and when we set them up and stuff. The biggest joys we always have is when you bring something unique and special, and often from the pink custard single, the stuff arrives in your inbox, and it's so hard to keep those kind of things secret. So I know that Dave was just super excited to see what Arth's reaction would be to that, and it must have been the most itchiest finger he was, sitting on his hands trying not to give the game away up to that run up.
I bet. Yeah. I don't think the reaction could have been better because did you see it? They sort of played it, and then Arthur was like, couldn't quite believe it, and he's like, "Can you play it again?" And then they played it again, and then his eyes sort of went wide. And he was like, "I'm really sorry. Can you play it again?" And he just kept asking them to play it.
Yeah,
And then
no,
at
with
the
your
end,
own
he was
personal shout out by Shat, you're going to just want to get Catlin record. That's going to be your new ringtone, surely.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was good. Yeah, it was a good stream.
How is those working? Because again, I am jumping back into game and I can see the whole Kovas thing. And are they now integrated with the stuff that's going on with
No,
with the voices? They're not.
God, where have you been?
Well, no, it's just the fact that I saw one of them was Leo, which is obviously the guy. At least sounds like the guy from Red Dwarf, which I remember was being from one of those packs, and it seems to be an official thing that you can get in game. So I was just wondering if there had been some sort of partnership between the two.
I'm not sure that there's any closer sort of workings together than there was before, but the voice packs are just kind of like Frontier's way of giving you the in-game experience with voices. It's nowhere near as integrated and as immersive as the HES voice packs, who have put in practically just like databases of information that you can ask and you'll get fed back. The total multi-crews that you can have as well in your experiences there. And one of the things I'd seen is, for example, arriving on your own fleet carrier, if you arrive on that, the HCS voice packs recognizes that you've arrived in your own one and will play a customized message to sort of make you go like, welcome back to your ship, or gosh, you're awesome, or whatever they do. There's at least an acknowledgement, whereas even in game you don't tend to get that from the Frontier side, which would be epic. There's so much quite good. I mean, I'm getting a bit sick of the annoying background music on foot and in this station's bar it's driving me mad. It's like being at work.
Hey, you run this bar, for heaven's sakes. If anybody can change the music, surely it's got to be our chief bar steward.
They've since an incident a couple of months ago, I've not been allowed back near the CD player.
Well, it was pink custard just on repeat. Was that the problem?
Yeah, as my mind wipe saying that didn't HCS do the recordings for the Karina Kovas? It's possible. I don't know.
Well, that's what I was thinking, because certainly for Leo certainly sounded like one of the HCS ones. That's what made me think there'd been a partnership. But it's fun. It's
No, but
getting
it's
back
the-
into the
this-
game after being so long out. It's a lovely little voyage of discovery. I mean, for heaven's sakes, I didn't even know how to put my Christmas jumper on before the show started. So I need some remedial Elite Dangerous, which is going to be fun over the Christmas period. I'm really looking forward to it.
What I recommend, actually, if you get bored with the co-best voices, is to pick the French or Germans, because you can start to pick up a limited vocabulary. I'm not quite sure how useful it actually is to be able to say landing gear deployed when you go on holiday to Paris, but it's...
Yeah, bonjour, landing gear deployed. Yes.
If you're running around with a pained expression in your face and you're shouting eject cargo, it might well get the point across.
Oh, brilliant. Love it. Where are we? I think we digress. Galnet news. Anybody can round up Galnet news? What's happening in that?
This is go on.
No, I've got a clue.
I was just going to say, so you might not have seen this. These started about 4 months ago, and this is Paul Crowther, who's one of the community managers over at FD, and he does a little weekly summary, because there's a lot of Galnet news these days. So he does a weekly summary. I think giving Wotherspoon a run for his money, frankly, with Galnet News Digest. So for example, hang on, let me pick one. So for example, the very first Galnet News article is The Darkest Days, and Paul's summary of that is news feeds around the world have broadcast messages of doom and gloom to let anyone who was somehow blissfully unaware of the encroaching alien apocalypse know that all hope is lost. So pretty standard fare for news outlets, really. So we say it summarises each of the news articles. It's quite a laugh, actually.
Cool. So is that because obviously you can then pull up Galnet News in Ship was the last sort of iteration that I saw of Galnet News, but there was so much of it that you never really bothered. So I take it this is a better way of getting your Galnet.
I guess. I mean, this is on the forums. I mean, in between. I do. It's interesting. What I tend to do is if I've got a longish Super Cruise journey, then I'll usually quickly pick something from the in-game Galnet News, and you can get it to text to speech these days, so it reads it out for you.
I did not know that.
Yeah, that's been in quite a while. But yeah, you can get it to. It'll read it out to you now, so you can just do that on a Super Cruise journey.
That's quite cool.
Right, because I was just totally ignoring the fact that we can use a dot system to say we've got a point to say. Never mind. No, I was just thinking, I remember the time when we were probably way back in the sort of start of the podcast and things, when we were talking about the Galnet News and noting that there was a distinct lack of the sort of storylines and saying how important it is to have it presented to us in such a way. And now I'm sitting here having to confess that I've never clicked that Galnet button since they put it in the right hand window, and haven't engaged with the stories in there. Do you know, I really love the small local news in the terminals and stations, where you can see what's going on with the percentages and what I think I'm probably still more engaged with the BGS than I am with the rest of the game. I'm glad the Thargoids haven't hit the sectors that I'm in, because I wouldn't know what to do with myself if they did take away what I like doing, which is the ground missions and then creating conflicts and then going off and doing sort of continual waves of war and making loads and loads and loads of credits. But yeah, the Galnet doesn't quite tie into that. I don't know. That's just me. I know plenty of people that absolutely love it. And you can tell that when you catch any of the Elite Dangerous streamers, like I see the Burpit mentioned as well, Psychit, they always engage with that Galnet news and put their own slants on the particular stories in it, which is awesome, because that creates a connection to the game that otherwise would be very difficult to do. When you can polarize your players and have them pick sides based on a story, that's engagement that you just, you can't buy that.
Yeah, yes. A story's been huge in the last year. I mean, compared to, there was a bit of a sort of radio silence on Galnet News 2 years ago or so. But in the last year, it's really been driving the game far more than it used to. And it's good. It's really good story writing.
And if there was someone that, say, has, vanished out of the Elite Dangerous universe for, say, 2 years, is there any way of quickly catching up on that story? Is there a summary about what's happened over the last year?
I believe if you wait a few days, possibly weeks, I'm not sure, that Pete Wotherspoon's Galnet News Digest, I think he's planning on doing a summary of the year. He's done one the last couple of years. And joking aside, I mean, that will have a wry take on it, but it will nevertheless be quite a good summary of the year, probably.
Awesome. In which case, I should definitely be looking out for that.
You could do it in game, but I don't know how. I think it keeps all the stories, but it's a bit tedious to have to go back through them all.
And there isn't a summary of what's gone before.
No. I might have to find a link. Certainly with the big storylines. So the individual Galnet News articles have been part of a sort of big story arc, if you like. And they certainly summarized the first one. There's a forum thread somewhere where they summarized the entire first story arc leading up to, I guess, Salvation and all that lot exploding. Yeah.
Well, Wotherspoon's actually just dropped a message in the chat saying the review of the year will be between Christmas and New Year. So that is definitely something I will look out for.
Wait for that. That'll be the best one.
It'll be more fun than the dry stuff on the forums, probably.
Yeah.
Cool. So stuff that isn't dry is the stuff that's going on in games. So let's have a look. What have we got? 15th of December, the Cause Toy oh man, words. One in front of the other. Called speaking. So the Cause Toy Emporium calls for help. Did any of you guys get involved with that?
I was waiting to see if anyone else was going to chip in, but it's going to be me again, isn't it? Yes, I did. I did. It's it was quite cute. It's their little, it's a little festive, fun thing in amongst. I quite like how it's tied into the war. So the idea is that this it's full of terrible puns. That this Sandra Cause, who runs a toy shop, and but her deliveries have been sort of screwed up because of all the war effort, and all of her delivery drivers going off to help in the war effort. So independent pilots are being called on to help make the deliveries. So basically, you go to this station and you pick up a bunch of festive gifts.
Nice.
And then you go and scan a beacon, and what you get are six letters from children asking what they want for Christmas. And you basically have to read between the lines in these letters and work out where these children are so that you can take a festive gift to each one.
Hang on a second.
Humbug.
Yeah, reading between the lines, that sounds awfully like hard work to me. So, I mean...
It's very easy. It really is very easy.
Okay, give us an example.
I'll make one up. So there'll be something like... this is very similar to an actual one, but what the hell? There'll be something like, oh, my mum makes a pizza. She calls it Shinrata pizza. It's horrible. I wish somebody could bring me some salt to make my Shinrata pizza nicer.
Okay, fine. That is quite obvious.
Yeah, but not quite as obvious. But basically, there's pretty much a word in every single one that if you Google... not Google. If you go to the in-game Galaxy map search, you can pretty much find them all that way.
And what were the rewards?
We've had them before, I won't spoil them all, but they were a mixture of some Christmas paint jobs, and there are these flat cannons, which are pretty colours and basically firework launchers.
Nice. And so is the event still ongoing? I know it says the 15th of December, but you can still jump in and do it now if you want to.
Yeah, did I read somewhere that it's going to run until... Can't remember where I read it. I read somewhere that it was going to run until January, I think.
Right, that might be the sort of. And is that just spaceships only? I'm just trying to think. So if that sounds like a sort of fun thing I could do on the Steam Deck.
It
as
is.
opposed to
Yeah,
having to
it
go
is
down
spaceships
and-
only. Yeah, you can do it. I did it in about an hour. I did it one morning, so it takes about an hour and a half. Well, actually, I won't. I did skip one of them, but I can see spoilers in chat. I'm not going to say it out loud. One of them I chose to skip.
Why? Because it was just too hard. You couldn't figure it out.
Because it's a very long way away and it's a very smelly place, and I've been there once before, and I don't need to go there again. Thank you very much.
I don't think Hutton Orbital's that smelly, is it? Let's be fair.
Wait a minute now. Hold on. You get a free Anaconda. Well, sorry, it's 100 credits. I just wanted to know, is there anywhere in the universe that you can pick up some coal asking for a friend? Because if I get letters from kids telling me they want presents, they're getting coal.
Oh, Scrooge. Total Scrooge. Okay, well that sounds cool, and I think I'll jump into that because that'll be a nice way of getting back into some of the flight mechanics and stuff to refresh my memory. But what about the enhanced AX weapon update? What was that all about?
Yes, so I think, as we all suspected it would play out, this war against the Thargoids is going to start very, very difficult, and then we're going to get, over time, we're going to get toys to make it easier. So these are CGs that have been running over the last few weeks to give you a whole bunch of new AX weapons, multi-cannons and missiles, I think. And they started out with gimbal, and then there's some fixed, and then there's... and they're terrific, actually. I've been using them to do scout combat, and yeah, those scouts are popping like popping like balloons. They're great. Yeah, it's good. It's well worth getting this.
Cool. The 16th of December was Elite. Bloody hell, really? The 16th of December was Elite Dangerous's 8th birthday. 8th birthday. God, what's that? 2002? Yeah, no, it will. God, where has those 8 years gone? That's ridiculous. So is that 8 years from obviously the launch party with the big Cobra Mark III coming out of the hangar and stuff, or is this from the Kickstarter starting up? I can't remember. It's such a long time ago.
Has to be from the launch party, because if you think about it, that would have been sort of day one of Elite Dangerous, whereas the Kickstarter would be the sort of... It would be weird. That would be kind of like taking your own personal birthday back to the night where...
No. We don't want the night of conception. No. Just stop right there. Let's not go down that rabbit hole. No, not rabbit hole. Any hole. No. Right, moving on.
Yes, it was amazing, the launch. Anyway, we were there, and we're here now. So
no, absolutely. 8 years later, and still loving the game. Still coming back to it. And it's funny, isn't it? Because if you think about, I mean, again, we all love space sims on this show, but the fact that Elite Dangerous is having its 8th birthday and a certain Star Citizen is still yet to be, yet to be born, is one that makes you raise an eyebrow. Barely
it is
crowning. What kind of expression is that? Oh, right.
I don't get out much anymore.
No, apparently not. But no, so Star Citizen's still not there 8 years later. Obviously, they've done stacks of stuff, and I'm sure it will eventually come out in some format or another. But wow, that is mad to think that Elite Dangerous is 8 years old and still going strong. I mean, that's probably that could be an entire discussion topic for another episode. But it's still here. Still, obviously, got people engaged with it. Still got money coming through the store, if nothing else. So I would say still being successful.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it definitely went through a wobble at the launch of Odyssey, and it was looking a bit. I think it was genuinely looking a bit touch and go. But yeah, I think they've turned it around. I think it's doing well.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about how it's still generating money, I think the store that came up probably about halfway through, that's been a big success for it, and probably a really nice segue into actually the festive countdown and the stuff that's available in store. Now, I haven't jumped into this. I have a feeling that is this one of these things where, because I haven't been logging in every day, I'm not going to be able to get the stuff that's already gone before it, because it started on the 13th of December.
You see, I think you've jumped the gun a bit there. I don't know if we're ready with this, but we normally play a little bit of music before we do this bit.
Oh, really? Well, how am I going to know that? So let's back up, because I think I've also missed something about the final Maelstrom's advanced Thargoid occupation on the 16th of December. That was one of the in-game events. So while we queue up the store alert theme, why don't we quickly cover off what that in-game event was? See, I told you this would be slick.
I think I haven't. Yeah, I think this is just the. Are you aware of the Stargoids as the community have dubbed them?
No.
It was quite an interest. So after we attempted to wipe out the Thargoids again, or this dude called Salvation attempted another attempt at genocide, which backfired horribly. There was a sort of Thargoid call for help, if you like, that went out, and then I think Frontier played this absolutely brilliantly, because as far as I know, they didn't signpost it at all. But somebody noticed in the skybox this odd-looking, I call it skybox, you know what I mean, but in the background sort of stars when you're looking in the right direction. Somebody noticed this sort of eight-armed spiral, barely bigger than a star, and you had to sort of get in the camera suite and zoom in, and there was this strange thing. And then over time, people noticed more and more of them. And so people in the community over at Canon developed a kind of 3D map so we could track them. And it turned out these things were moving, and they were all coming from great distance and slowly closing in on the bubble. And so we had like several months in the game where people were just watching these tiny stars get bigger and closer. And it was brilliant, because the whole time Frontier really didn't shout about it very much, and it was the community that spotted they were moving and tracked the direct, kind of just spotted this whole thing. Anyway, they started arriving, and they are basically the sort of the sort of beachheads of the Thargoid attack on the bubble, and there are 8 of them. And so this story on the 16th of December was about the final 3 or 4 of them arriving. So all 8 have now landed, and kind of the focal points of this war with the Thargoids.
What are they like? Are they megaships or Thargoid
so
megaships?
when they arrived, the form they've taken is what's called a Thargoid maelstrom. So each system, so there's now 8 systems that have one of these things in them, and the entire system is now basically Thargoid owned. And within the system, orbiting an ammonia world, I think I'm right in saying in each case, there's this thing called a maelstrom, and it basically looks like a cloud. I don't know if you may not even have seen these, but there are these things called notable stellar phenomena scattered around the galaxy, and they're sort of lightning storms and interesting phenomena and stuff. But yeah, so and they have clouds around them, so it looks a bit like one of those. And if you fly into it, it's basically full of, it's like a caustic cloud, so it starts doing damage to your ship as you fly into it. The visibility is very low, it's full of lightning, it's all very spooky and atmospheric. There are the sort of almost the Thargoid equivalent of mines floating around, so if you get too close to them, they're like sort of Thargoid proximity mines all over the place. And if you try and push into the core of this thing, there's like an energy wave that goes off and throws you back out again at great speed. So I think it's currently impossible to penetrate the heart of the maelstrom.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, it's cool. I think the people suspect that what's at the heart of the maelstrom is some kind of Thargoid mothership, but we have yet to see.
Wow.
Yeah, it's cool.
That is very cool. No, I haven't seen any of those notable phenomena, and in fact, this is quite sad, but I've yet to even encounter my first Thargoid in the game. So
what?
I know.
You will now.
Yeah, I'm gonna get that now.
I think it was myself, Shouty, and Bewilderbeast kited one in our asps, right? So I died non-stop. This is way back when they were first into the game, and we kited one all the way back to a station, and then it was like when you're in the station, when you've respawned from the umpteenth death, and you see a Thargoid ship going past the slot. That's quite unnerving, and we thought, imagine you were some other poor player just logging in for the game that night. But now you don't need to, because now it's there. It's, you've got systems that you cannot go into without risking being obliterated by Thargoids. And I tell you what, it brings that sense of danger back into the Elite Dangerous that has been a wee bitty missing for a while. So it's like suddenly you've got that potential for your epic blazing your own trail story, where you can be out there and you can be, I'm going to be a rescue agent, I'm going to save as many people as I can, risking life and limb to do so. Or you can be one of those people out there going, well, I'm going to cover you and I'm going to, fly with you along in your wing and try and protect you should you get into trouble to help you get away. It just opens up so much more fun.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to jumping back into that. It's going to be interesting. I'm probably going to need someone to take me by the hand and actually just sort of point out all the new stuff that's sort of come in the last couple of years. But it does sound like the game has moved on quite a lot since I was last playing. Let's see. We've got our store alert. So we have got our festive countdown. So do we have a store alert theme that we can jump to?
Store alert!
In the bi-weekly newsletter, here come paint jobs for your art. In the bi-weekly newsletter, here come paint jobs for your art. A store alert, a store alert, a store alert, a store alert, a store alert. Which one will you buy? A store alert, 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 a store alert. Which one will you buy?
So it is back, our annual Elite Dangerous Festive Countdown, which began on Tuesday, the 13th of December. For those of you, like me, who are not familiar with the Festive Countdown, at least not for a few years, we have a daily series of Elite Dangerous goodies that are handed out, from ARC login rewards to special cosmetic releases shared across the social network channels of Frontier, on Twitter, on Facebook, and login rewards as well. So just looking at it, ARC login rewards will be available daily from the December the 13th as part of the Elite Dangerous Festive Countdown. So how are these going to work? So the daily login ARC bonus are only available via the Live 4.0 Galaxy. So unfortunately, rewards are not available on the Legacy branch. Players must load into a game session, open play or private group or solo. And players do not have to have logged in. Oh, excellent. Players have not had to log in on previous days to receive the current day's rewards. Cool.
Check your mail. Check your mail.
I will check.
It'll be there. You'll have it in right just now in your little. You'll have a little message if you press your Q key and then look in the wheel and go to your mail. You should have a notification of your ARCs for today.
That'd be quite cool. I'll be quite upset though if there was enough ARCs to actually buy the Christmas jumper that I'm sporting on the stream, because I actually had to pay proper hard-earned cash to get enough money to get myself my snowman head and my Christmas jumper. So if there was enough money in there to do that, then I'm going to be a bit miffed. But never mind. It's about time I paid back into this game anyway. But what have we got? We've got gold and chrome skins, including the adder skin. Just looking at some of the pictures here, they look awesome. They look crumbs. Yeah,
I have to chip in on that, because it is a great shame that Colin isn't here, because we literally joked about there being a gold adder on last week's show when I don't think this existed, and then this week there's a gold adder. Because the adder is Colin's least favourite ship. I mean, that is overstating it. He hates it with a vengeance. And so the idea of a golden one, I
was going to say, do we think this is going to make it better for him or worse?
Yeah, I think we should chip together and buy him one for Christmas.
Oh, totally. There, see, maybe that's it for next week's episode. It's the gift you didn't want to receive at Christmas.
Yeah,
and that'll be the golden adder.
So just a suggestion that the Christmas jumper and snowman head were free.
No. Don't say that. Don't say that after I paid my hard-earned money to actually buy them.
It's okay. I bought Arcs today just so I could get the jumper and the snowman head.
Yeah, I have an awful feeling you and I sat next to each other in the station. We're the only people to have actually bought them. If you look all the way around the station, it's like, God, these guys are new to the game. Look at those noobs. Look what they're wearing.
Still got the price tag on them, mate.
It's all right. After this show, I'm going to go and return it. It's fine. I've still got the tags on it. It'll be fine. Oh, man. Cool. Well, let's have a look. We do have a main discussion for this week, and I'm just wondering, guys, is this the sort of thing that might actually be worth, putting off until next week when, someone other than Alec is going to be able to chip in and talk about it? We basically want to do a look back over the last year of Elite Dangerous, and we've got some notes here about what happened in each of the months. And it seems that would be a really good topic to discuss, but a really good topic to discuss with people that have been playing it in the last year, as opposed to those of us that have just, Johnny come lately. What do you reckon, Alec?
Yeah, if there is a show next week, then I think you're probably right.
Guys, I don't think there's going to be a show next week. There's not going to be a show next week.
So no show next week. That's okay, because we can jump in and do it in January, surely.
We could. You're probably right. Yeah, you're probably right. Right, well, that's it for tonight, folks.
Thank you for joining us.
We've still got Community Corner. We can still talk about that.
Want to go for some adverts and then we can come back?
Yeah, let's do that. That way we can grab another beer.
All right.
No beer. Good.
Get ready. LAVE Radio.
Protecting settlements from villainous scum, it's Settlement Patrolman. The action figure every child wants. Wearing the all-new Manticore Dominator suit with light-up jump assist thrusters. Press his backpack to hear Settlement Patrolman speak.
Not seen you around here before, Commander. Is that a Karma P15 in your pocket, or are you just pleased to see me? Hey, don't point that at me.
When alarms sound, Settlement Patrolman rides into action in his surface reconnaissance vehicle with pop-up turret and glow-in-the-dark wheel trims. Settlement Patrolman. Surface reconnaissance vehicle and action figure sold separately. Available from branches of Lave Toy Depot and other retailers. Microelectrode, ion battery, and circuit switch not included.
We all know what it's like. You're busy managing your settlement when suddenly the alarms go off.
Oh no, not again.
That's right. A commander with a Federation naval rank of Admiral, an Imperial King no less, has landed in a ship worth over 100 million credits and is killing all your staff, while they look around for a 10 credit adhesive to glue an upgraded scope to their 100,000 credit assault rifle. They fly away with their super glue and you're left with a problem. How are you going to get your agricultural plant back up and running?
How am I going to get my plant up and running?
How are you going to find staff at short notice?
How am I going to find staff at short notice?
How are you going to deal with all those bodies?
There's bodies everywhere, and they've stained the carpet.
Wonder no longer. Call Aries Crime Scene Cleanup Services.
Hello, I'm Harry, from Harry's Mine. After a sudden increase in robberies and murders by commanders since 3307, I've gained valuable expertise in cleaning up bodies, recruiting new staff and restocking stationary lockers. Now you can benefit from my experience by signing up to our Crime Scene Cleanup Service subscription plan.
That's right. For only a small monthly fee, when your settlement alarms are activated, our rapid response cleanup crew will be dispatched, along with our patented Cadaver Scoop 150. The Cadaver Scoop 150 can be mounted to surface reconnaissance vehicles and skimmers to make tidying up your settlement a breeze.
Wow,
The bodies are gone.
Our recruitment team has potential new employees on standby across the galaxy, ready to fill your vacant roles in security, logistics, administration, processing, and more.
My plant's operational again. Thanks, Ares Crime Scenes Cleanup Services.
Ares Crime Scene Cleanup Services. We'll have your settlement as good as new before the next ship arrives. Cadaver Scoop 150 disposal bags sold separately.
Lave Radio, broadcasting to every corner of the galaxy.
Listen here, ladies. While your man is out and about bringing home the bacon, you need to make sure you look your best, which is why we present to you our Lady Shave. It's small enough to fit into your dainty lady hands and releases a perfumed scent as you cut away that ghastly body hair.
Listen here, ladies. Say no to substandard shaving. At Saracen, we believe a woman deserves a shave as good as a man's. Introducing the Panther Clipper. For women. Gone are the days of your unruly body hair making you look like a bedraggled alpaca. The Panther Clipper is the biggest, baddest shaver credits can buy. And now, it's available in pink. A shave so smooth you'll need a tighter Dominator suit. The new Panther Clipper Lady Shave from Saracen. It's exactly what you've been asking for. In pink. From the makers of the MB5 shaving drone comes the latest in personal grooming technology. Here at Saracen, we've heard your request loud and clear. You want something new. Applying all the recent technological advances. Introducing the Panther Clipper. Gone are the days of your unruly body hair making you look like a bedraggled alpaca. The Panther Clipper is the biggest, baddest shaver credits can buy. A shave so smooth it'll shave 10 milliseconds off your buckyball time. The new Panther Clipper from Saracen. It's exactly what you've been asking for.
Okay, and we are back. Just looking at the chat there. Witherspoon saying that the adverts that we've got on the show now should actually have a show of their own, and he's not wrong. Those adverts are fantastic. It's great to be able to catch up with some of those, and there's obviously some new ones since the last time I was on, and they're just brilliant. So well done, guys. They are absolutely phenomenal. We should just have a show just for the adverts. So yeah, we were going to do a main discussion again about the stuff that's happened this year, which it seems like a waste considering that Kow and I have literally just got back into the game. So what we're going to do, because we've still got quite a bit of time, we're going to pivot and we're going to talk a little bit about what changes have happened in the game. So if anybody else is out there like me that's just coming back to the game, might be quite nice to just sort of point out some of the changes and some of the things that I can expect getting back into it. So I'm trying to remember the last thing that that I played in game before I took a bit of a sabbatical, and I have to say it was probably, in fact, it was before Odyssey. So I had a bit of a panic this afternoon because obviously we now meet in the bar, so we have to get our space legs and stuff on. So I had to download the update for Odyssey, which took a fucking age. But I got it up and running. I did the tutorial where you have to run around and scan stuff, and then he takes you on a taxi ride back to, I think, Chamberlain Base or whatever that was. And that was good fun. And I was expecting it to run quite sluggishly on my PC, but the PC seemed to hold out quite well for it. So I think there's obviously been some updates in terms of making some optimizations on it since it first came out, because I know that was one of the problems that people were talking about in terms of getting it to run smoothly on their machine. So maybe you guys can talk to me a little bit about what I can expect from starting the game fresh from Odyssey. And also bear in mind that this is someone that hasn't even seen a Thargoid yet. So don't just take it from Odyssey. Just double check about the stuff that I may or may not, or should have, but haven't experienced in the game yet.
Well, I was thinking actually, have you even played since the update that included core mining? You must have done.
core mining. So hold on, mining I really enjoyed. So I do remember you used to shoot off stuff in, and you used to sort of drive it down into all the nuts and crannies and stuff, and then it blew
Yes.
up. And
Okay.
hopefully, if you could pop
Good.
it,
Yeah.
you got
Okay.
really good stuff.
So we
So
don't
that
have
I
to go
did
back
do.
that
That was
far.
good fun. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. So it is basically Odyssey then. I'm really interested that you've. I hadn't thought about this, that you've got to play the tutorial, you know, now that we've had 14 updates worth of optimizations, performance enhancements. Because, of course, when a lot of us played it when it first came out, and probably haven't played it through since, to be honest, there was that to contend with. You know, you were sort of trying to enjoy the tutorial for what it represented and to try and learn new stuff, but at the same time you were thinking, why is my screen juddering like a bad slideshow? Yeah, so that's nice that you've had that experience. What did you think of the tutorial?
I mean, it wasn't bad actually. Let's start off with the positives. It was smooth. It really wasn't bad. I was expecting it to be just re and everything else, and it wasn't. It played like any good first-person shooter that I played for a while. So that was all fine. The storyboarding in terms of the control systems, I mean, it was WASD, which was fine, and mouse control, and things just seemed to be quite intuitive. And obviously it popped up all the stuff in terms of you need to press E to interact, you need to press 1 2 3 depending on what your loadout needs to be, and all of that made perfect sense. And I really enjoyed the sort of the storytelling of it, and having this guy doing the narrative around it, and telling you about what sort of stuff you needed to be doing. And then I quite liked the fact that there was an incoming ship, and which you could see through the window. That was all good. When you actually got into the actual fighting part, the grenades, they seem to throw a hell of a lot of grenades, and 0G grenades got me every time. I was a little bit concerned that I was actually going to die in the tutorial. Because there was a few moments where they threw like 3 grenades at once, and I just like, if I die in this tutorial, that's it. Me and Elite are done. I couldn't hold my head up if I died in the tutorial missions. So no, but we did manage to complete it, and the whole thing about sort of jumping in, it was kind of like a superhero moment where you can use the jetpack. So I had one guy left to kill, and he was over at the other side of the base, and I could sort of jetpack up, and it was this wonderful sort of Mandalorian moment where you could come down shooting at him from above. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but obviously where it says lasers for shield and bullets for bodies, that made perfect sense. But was there something that I missed, or was a laser sort of the big gun, and then you had to flick out to the little pistol thing to fire bullets at people? Or was there a different mechanic within the main gun that I should have been changing to?
So there are different suits that I think there's 4 different suits. So there's a suit which is sort of kind of non-combat really, and it's for going out and doing this exobiology where you scan plants. And then with the combat suits, there's 2, and I'm going to butcher these. There's the Maverick, which sort of has better jump range. You can jump a bit higher, and it's sort of little bit of a sort of salvaging suit, I suppose. And it has a cutter that you can use for cutting panels and cutting your way into doors and things. And in that suit, you have a single sidearm and a single rifle. So in the sort of gameplay model where you need laser for shields and kinetic damage for the squishy bits underneath the shields, then you basically end up with a pistol for one and a rifle for the other. But there's the Dominator suit, which has a pistol and 2 rifles. So there you can kind of pack yourself a handy sidearm for when you run out of ammo, but basically have a big laser and a big rifle. The other thing, which I don't know if the tutorial goes into, is there is a 3rd type of on-foot weapon, which is, I want to say plasma. It doesn't sound right in my head now. Somebody in chat will correct me if I'm wrong. But there are plasma weapons, which are a sort of trade-off between both, and basically do for shields and armor. I guess it's a preference. I think the idea was that starter gameplay, you're meant to sort of follow the model of laser and laser and kinetic, but later a lot of people seem to just pack plasma weapons and not really have to worry about weapon switching and just shoot everything with your plasmas. And I think particularly when you get to engineer these things and you can get grade 5 plasma weapons, then you kind of can stop worrying about that.
Yeah, because that was, it worked. But there seemed to be such a lag to change from one weapon to the next that by the time the shields are down, and you've got your pistol out, the person that you're shooting has ran off and hid behind a box. So, and lasers did seem to do damage to the person's body as well. So if you just kept on shooting them with lasers, they would eventually go down.
Yeah, I'm sure you recognise it from ship combat. They're kind of modelling the ship combat thing, and you can kill somebody with a laser, even if they, or vice versa, but it's just not as good.
Yeah, Grant?
Plasma sniper, rocket launcher, dominator suit. That is me. I land in the combat zone, I jump into the air, I spot my first enemy, 2 rockets fired, that's that guy down, switch to the plasma rifle. 1 hit takes a shield down, next hit takes the player down, and that is my combat rules. Unfortunately, then I go and do missions which require a little bit of, shall we say, more subtle approaches, and I find myself in close quarters with the enemy, and I click fire, and that's when I realise I've got the rocket launcher out, and mission failed, taken to the local hospital with burns, I keep doing that mistake. I think the way that they've separated the suits and the functionalities on the requirements of them is that kind of age-old time when, for example, the Eagle, and you used to go for the Eagle because of its maneuverability, but then its power management was really bad, and you had to trade things off. So it's nice that the suits kind of keeps that trade-off of function versus there's not the catch-all.
Hang on a
This suit
second.
will do everything.
Power management?
Not on your suit.
Okay, God, thank God for that. Okay.
But you, for example,
Yeah,
if
not
you're
pets.
going to go and if you take a mission to then extract data from content or items from within a panel, or to do something to something that requires you to cut panels to get in there. For example, if you're going to a station to repower a settlement that's been kind of inactive, then you're going to have to cut your way through those doors. So you're going to need the cutter. Well, that's not going to be available in your Dominator or your Artemis suit. That's your Maverick suit. And so if you're going exploring, then you need your Artemis suit, not your Dominator or your Maverick. But you can then run back to your ship, jump into the next suit, and then go out and make all the enemies very sorry that they gave you enough time to do that. And there's just so many nice little features. Like you're going to love the fact that you can pick up the hack tools to be able to run, and you arrive at a settlement and you hack your way through a door rather than cutting through the door and get in and then tackle people and then clone their security levels. There's an awful lot of fun stuff for you to be doing in the ground missions. That introduction, that little intro mission tutorial gives you a taste for. And then it kind of becomes a wee bit samey when you're doing missions, but there's still enough variance in difficulty and things that go wrong. And as your reputation with factions, so you might find yourself absolutely despised by a hostile to a faction, and when you arrive anywhere near the settlement, it just takes one of them to see you and the alarms go off. So there's definitely a ramping of the interesting and the fun sides you can have in the ground missions. Totally recommend you getting stuck into some of them.
Okay, Alex, do you want to chip in there?
Yeah, I was on the subject of the different suits. I find it a bit contrived, particularly if you think about it. Like if you imagine you're at a settlement and there happen to be some plants nearby the settlement that you want to scan, and then you want to cut a panel to go into the settlement, and then maybe you want to carry some big guns once you get through the door because you know you're going to meet armed resistance. The idea of you having to strip off one suit and then pull on a different pair of pants so you scare the plant, and then strip those off.
What boxes for?
It's sort of ridiculous.
It's like I'm not remotely dressed for this.
The fact that you can't just sort of put clip, I personally would much rather that you had a belt that was equivalent to them. In a ship you've got 2 Class A modules and a Class 3 or whatever. I'd like it. I'd prefer it if you had a belt that had 3 slots and you can put a scanner and a art cutter and a pistol, or and you decide what to carry. The idea that you've got to bloody strip off just to carry a bigger bun is ridiculous.
So, I mean, is the reason for this not being cynical, not being cynical, but is the reason for the 3 suits the fact that you can then have 3 sets of cosmetics that you can sell people for these suits?
Oh, you cynic!
I don't know. And the other thing, I mean, while we're there's a lot of great stuff. While we're touching on controversial stuff, the other thing that I think is very controversial is that unlike ships, if you start engineering a weapon, so your plasma rifle, and then you put extra sights. Yeah, so there's ground engineering as well. Same.
Oh.
It's a massive grind. I mean, you thought the ship thing was a grind. The ground engineering is a ball ache from hell. But basically, you pick up all sorts of junk. God, anything you can imagine, you can find scattered around, and you need 5 of these and 10 of those and 27 of the others to do something. And basically, you can put like sights and sort of make your gun more powerful, and you can silence it and stuff. But any engineering that you apply to the gun sticks with it. You can't take it off again. So imagine like if you think of it in terms of ships, if you imagine you engineer your ship and you give it greater jump range and a bigger power plant and stronger shields, and then you decide you want to change that, you have to sell the ship and buy another one and start from scratch. And so that's the way they've done ground engineering, is that you can't take modifications off, which frankly just seems bizarre, but there you go.
Can you have like multiple rifles? So you engineer one, you
yes.
and then okay. So you can choose the right rifle for the job.
Yeah, so you can make a long-range quiet rifle and a short-range shotgun, very noisy, I'll kill you instantly rifle, and then pick which one you want to carry, I suppose, at any given time.
That's slightly better.
That is one of the sort of strange things about it, is the fact. So Fozza, the one thing you'll want to do is go around all the different stations in a system. And see whether or not you can buy some level 3 weapons, possibly with some mods on them, before, rather than upgrading from 1 and 2, which is really a kind of a waste of resources. When you can find level 3s with just jumping around systems and going around all the different tech places. But it's so a level 3 Annihilator rifle is what? 15 million?
I mean, I've got the cash, but that does seem ludicrous for a gun.
In comparison to when you can buy a ship for less than that, and technically I think you could probably kill more people if you just try and land them like I do.
Yeah, that was always going to be difficult, wasn't it? I mean, by the time Odyssey launched, we all had enough, well, I say we all, but a lot of, great many of us had enough money to buy many Anacondas. They couldn't, they were sort of stuck between a rock and a hard place there, because obviously they want to have these stores that have all these different weapons and suits and things, and if they'd been a reasonable amount of money, realistic amount of money, we would have been able to buy everything in the shop. Yeah. So either they had to introduce different currency, or they just had to, make guns.
Maybe they should write in some sort of Thargoid script. So just like at the end of Fight Club, where they blow up all the computer systems that controls everybody's debts. Maybe the Thargoid can come and wipe out everybody's funds, and you start back off at ground zero. And then we start grinding again to get money. That might be okay. People would rage quit. There's no doubt about it. Speaking about money, I was quite surprised. I've still got a decent amount of money in my account, and I think the reason was I was saving for my own carrier, but never actually pushed the button on it before I took my time out of the game. So, what's a carrier going for these days, and are people still using them?
Do you want me to take that? I guess.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure if is it 7 billion?
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't have one. I thought they were 5 or 6, but I believe the truth, a bit like with ships, is that, to be honest, if you want to outfit it and actually have it do anything useful, you're probably talking double that. I would guess you probably need about 10 billion, don't you, to have a useful carrier? I could be wrong.
It's amazing though, Fozza, because so when it comes to the grind of the ground engineering and such, carriers are a real way where players can make an awful lot of money quite quickly by they can do all that ground collecting of the rares and the various different parts that you need, like whether it be some captain's underpants that you require in order to upgrade your rocket launchers, or to add a toxic vapor to some of them. There's loads of these different things that these items that are quite common, most commonly power regulators and things like that. So then people who have carriers are then offering to buy materials so that they can get a stock there and also selling it. So it's a really good way of bypassing the grind. Obviously, the grind gets you to the cost price, which is zero. Just time, and the time cost is huge. Trust me on this one, it is huge. I think I've upgraded 2 suits to level 4 and a couple of my weapons up to level 4, and I've decided that they're good enough. They're good enough. But if you then have that access to different carriers and different systems where people are selling those materials and those mats, it's a nice way for that kind of community support to support other players and stuff, because a lot of times they'll buy it at a higher cost than the market, and then sell you it back at a lower cost. So not significantly, but just enough to make it kind. It's nice working together, playing with players.
How do you find out what people have got to sell? Do you have to dock at each carrier in order to find out what's being sold where and for how much? And because that sounds like cool. Like
that's probably I know from playing and having chat and seeing people in systems, and and sort of like people that are telling me that they're doing that. So I'm not sure if there's a formal route to be able to see that. I can only imagine that would be akin to the old MMORPGs of people sitting saying "Chair of Ultimate Comfort, only 3,000 gold."
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I don't think there's anything in game. In fact, if you jump into a system that's got fleet carriers in it, and you pick one of those carriers from the left-hand panel, I think all you can really tell is whether landing permission is granted. So you can, if you own a carrier, you can grant people. You can say anyone can land, or you can say only my friends can land, stuff like that. I don't think you can even tell what services the carrier has. So you're largely reliant, I think, on out of game, things like Discord, or I think Inara has a bunch of stats on people's carriers. But yeah, there's a lot of in-game stuff missing really to make that kind of thing useful, in terms of finding out which carrier to go to if you're looking to buy stuff.
Cool. So Inara's still around and still obviously alive.
Yeah, very much so, and yeah.
Okay.
There's quite a few other wee apps as well for your ground-based map tracking and keeping track of what you're looking for based on the blueprints that you're wanting to work on, that make it a little bit more targeted due to the limitations and the levels that you can hold.
Okay.
So you can choose not to pick up that small piece of crap that you don't know what it's for because you've not played the game yet, and you don't realize that it's worthless rubbish.
Well, that's always the thing. I never understood materials. I never understood what everything was for. So I probably got stacks of stuff. Whether or not any of it is remotely useful, I don't know. But I didn't get that involved with engineering either when it came to ships. I did enough to make sort of my frame shift and stuff do decent amounts, but I didn't unlock all the engineers because it was just a grind that was never really that appealing to me.
Yeah.
So the thought of doing it again on the ground not filling me with that joy.
One thing that Psycho Kow skipped over, I don't know if you're aware of the pre-engineered stuff, but this is quite neat. So there's 5 levels of engineering that you can apply to suits and guns. But yeah, you can fairly randomly in concourses of stations in the supply shop where you buy guns and stuff, they'll sort of randomly have stuff that's pre-engineered up to level 1, 2 or 3 sometimes, and occasionally with little extra mods fitted, I think. So one thing that's really handy that my stuff's all level 3, and I haven't engineered anything. I haven't done a single bit of on-foot engineering because it just seemed like such a massive grind. But there's a really neat little forum thread, and I'm sure it's similar things are around on various Discord servers. I know the Burr Pit has one. So the forum thread's called something like the Caring is Sharing pre-engineered modules thread or something. And it's basically every time somebody lands at one of these shops and spots that there's a sort of level 3 engineered plasma rifle that they don't need, if you're feeling community spirited, then you drop into that forum thread and just note down the location. So if you sort of go to that thread and go to the last few, the posts from the last 6 hours or so, then there's a good chance a lot of that stuff will still be there if you quickly hop along and go and buy it.
Cool. And given the whole Thargoid war thing that's just sort of kicked off, are fleet carriers now being used to sort of land in sort of systems and form sort of mobile bases? Or is that just not the mechanic they use for?
I don't know. There's this thing with fleet carriers. I don't know if this is entirely what Frontier imagined. There are an awful lot of fleet carriers. I mean, I was quite surprised that there was that much money in the community. I've got 2 billion. I suppose I do a lot of stupid things that don't earn me very much money, but I'm halfway towards a fleet carrier after 5 years of gameplay. So yeah, I was quite surprised at just how many fleet carriers there are. So what tends to happen an awful lot is that any system that's remotely interesting, either because it's a CG or this recent Christmas present hunt or anything to do with the war, will be absolutely stuffed to the gills with fleet carriers, often to the point where you can't get another one in there, and then people start parking their carriers in the neighbouring systems. So people very definitely move their carriers to the points of activity. But to what extent that's kind of community spirited? I mean, obviously people have their entire fleet of ships, so they do that so that they've got all their ships to hand.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I guess they all provide useful, obviously, repair and resupply and refuel depots. So in that sense, yeah, they very much, I guess, assist the war effort. I mean, it means you don't have to jump 200 light years to get more ammo or to replace a busted SRV or something.
Okay, well let's bounce from that and talk about the fact that I've yet to see my first alien in game. So, yeah, if I was to encounter them in system tonight, I'm assuming that none of my weapons that I've got on my ship would actually do any harm to them. I would probably get my ass whooped quite quickly.
Yeah.
What do I need to do in order to understand how to live in a Thargoid universe?
Okay, so running away is your pretty much best and only option until you've grabbed some of these free AX weapons or something and want to take them on. So you will encounter Thargoids now in, let me think, in 3 ways, basically. So if you go, in the galaxy map, there's a whole load of new filters. That setting where you can turn on things like bookmarks, and so there's a whole bunch of new ones to do with systems that are under Thargoid attack and Thargoid invasion, and there's like 4 different states. And basically, when traveling to and from those systems, you have a pretty decent chance of being hyperdicted, which means that during your hyperspace jump, you'll suddenly get a sort of interrupted hyperspace jump, and then you'll drop out in normal space, and there'll be a couple of Thargoids on your tail. I'll come on to how you get away from them in a minute. So that's one possibility. What's new with the latest in update 14 is that Thargoids can also now interdict you. So if you're in one of those systems and you're flying from, you've jumped into the system, you're flying from the main star to a station, there's a pretty high probability that Thargoids will now interdict you in the same way that pirates used to. And again, you'll have Thargoids on your tail. And then the third way, which is kind of interesting, is in these Thargoid occupied systems, if you drop out anywhere in normal space whether you're just sightseeing or if you hang around long enough, Thargoids will typically drop into your instance after a while. That's a great one, because what I really like about that is it lets, if you're into sort of photography or just sightseeing or video making in Elite, that basically lets you dictate where you see a Thargoid. If you want to see a Thargoid on a planet with ice and a nice blue atmosphere, then just go to one in one of these Thargoid occupied systems and wait, and then they'll obligingly show up and pose for you. But
Will
yeah,
they
so
actually follow you down onto the planet as well if you were
yeah,
to...
yeah. It's very cool. And if you're in your ship, they're going to come for you and blow you up. But if you get out of your ship, so if you just want to observe Thargoids flying around on a planet's surface, then just go to a Thargoid occupied system, land on the surface, dismiss your ship, and then just wait. You have a problem getting out, because sooner or later you're going to have to recall your ship, and that can be a bit hairy. But so anyway, yeah, getting away from the Thargoids in either of those three situations, really what you're doing is legging it pretty much. So your average Thargoid, I believe, has a speed around 400, 450, 500, depending on what type. So a lot of ships, particularly engineered ships, you can just outrun them. Thargoids are notoriously slow to turn, so it's quite a good idea to not do the Roadrunner thing and just run straight down the rail track with the train chasing you. It's quite a good idea, to sort of change your vector a little bit and keep them turning. But basically, what you're doing is waiting for the usual frameshift cooldown and then jumping back to Super Cruise or back to another system. And really, it's kind of trivial unless you're in a very slow ship.
Right. Okay. So the fact that I love driving around in my Anaconda is going to be a problem for me going forward.
Possibly, I guess. There's things you can do, like popping heat sinks, so that tends to mess up Thargoid's targeting. So I've been carrying a lot more heat sinks these days, because if you encounter Thargoids, then pop a heat sink and their targeting is thrown off quite badly.
I'm not even sure I've got a key binding for heat sinks. So that's probably something I probably want to look
funny.
at.
It's something I haven't used for ages, and then I find myself using them a lot now.
So is that like the equivalent of dropping all your heat sinks? So basically shitting yourself and running is the new plan. Right. Okay. And what about weapons? So do I have to do the whole engineering thing to get Thargoid weapons, or can I now go to the station and just buy them and equip them?
So again, in the galaxy map, and I was mentioning all the different markers. So as well as the Thargoid occupied and sort of under attack systems, there are, what do they call them, rescue. There's a bunch of rescue megaships, which are, if you like, the sort of bubbles beachhead for the defense of the bubble. And those are marked with it's like a little blue and green first aid cross icon. And each of those systems has a rescue megaship in it, and you can just buy these AX weapons at any of those megaships. I don't think, there's not even an unlock. I think you can just go straight into outfitting and buy them.
Perfect. So, and are they the same? Do they have different levels, or are they just sort of like a one size fits all?
So they have different. Yeah, they do have. There are some different sizes. So really, my Thargoid combat skills stop at scouts. You won't even have seen scouts.
Nope. So there's different levels of Thargoids.
Yeah. So basically, there's the big ones, and I'm sure you've seen pictures of them, and they're like a big flower, sort of eight arm spiral flower, and there's different levels of those, but those are the sort of big bad. If you like, those are the boss fights. Those are Elite Dangerous's equivalent of a boss fight.
Right.
I've never mastered that at all yet, but each of these Thargoids have these things called hearts, and you have to do a certain amount of damage and then overstress the heart and then get rid of the heart, and then you have to get rid of all 6 hearts before you can destroy the thing itself. And
but you can solo it, or is it something that you do?
It is possible to solo these days.
Right.
But anyway, so I haven't taken down those at all. But then buzzing around in these scenarios, you often find scouts, which are much smaller. They're your classic sort of little flying saucer, if you like. They don't have arms; they're just a little flying saucer. And they're pretty easy, and they're enormous fun to take down. So yeah, if you go to one of those rescue megaships, pick up some of those AX multi-cannons, and then go to somewhere where there's a bit of Thargoid combat going on, and basically tackle the scouts. That's a lot of fun.
Okay, and in terms of groundwork, we haven't seen one of these Thargoids walking around. There's nothing ground mission-wise that impacts the war yet.
No, not yet. Not yet. I mean, to be honest, Frontier have, to the best of my knowledge, barely dropped even a hint that the on-foot combat is even coming. I think most of the community completely assumes it is. I'm somewhere in the middle. we shall wait and see. It would
But
be
you
a massive.
can see crashed Thargoid ships on planets, though. Yeah.
Oh yes,
Or
you can. Yeah, we've had those for a long
Yeah,
time.
because
but
that was in game. I just hadn't managed to get around to seeing them. And in fact, I don't think I've even. There's 2 SRVs in game now, isn't there? I think I've
Yes,
only ever
there's
driven one.
Yeah, there's the Scorpion, which is much more of a sort of tank, so it's slower, but it's got a dirty great gun on the back, and so yeah, that's fun. One really interesting thing about the Scorpion actually is that a lot of people really struggled with the Scarab and the way it span out, and they couldn't control the damn thing, and it made them feel motion sick. And a huge number of people found the Scorpion solved all those problems, and they much prefer driving it.
Yeah, cool. And obviously, it works exactly the same as the other SRV. You can just
Yeah.
put it into your normal ship, and
Yeah, there's some very neat things which you won't have seen with Odyssey, which really surprised me. But they kind of, there's some stuff to do with physical multi-crew which fundamentally changed things. So, as an example, 2 players, each in their own ship, could land on a planet, deploy their SRV, drive out to some middle ground to meet each other. You could then each get out of your SRV, walk to the other person's SRV, get in it, and start driving around in it. And there's all sorts of stuff like that, which I find really fascinating. You know, you could have 2 SRVs in your own ship, deploy one, drive at a distance, get out, walk back to the ship, deploy another SRV, drive out. So there's some interesting kind of, sort of sandbox potential in Odyssey that I didn't see coming until I started playing around with stuff like that.
And what else would you say was some of the highlights of Odyssey that really makes it, worth playing?
Yeah, that's a really good question. While I think, Psycho Cow, because you've been back in Odyssey a bit, what's kind of really impressed you?
I've really got sort of addicted to the ground missions, and in fact, I've just realised I've managed to put my ship into flight assist off, and I haven't got a clue what the button is to put it back on.
When you say
and
ground
apparently
missions, are you just literally wandering around smelling flowers, or?
Well,
Is it
kind of,
combat?
but no, I've gone over to my home system of Beldacri and found that the player faction that I had an agreement with have completely taken everything and left my poor little faction with hee-haw. So I started to sort of fight back a little bit and raising it using the BGS and stuff and having a bit of fun with it. But that means running missions to raise your influence in the system and just running the influence, running at a loss because it doesn't make you much money. But when you trigger a war, I've made in the best part of 2 months, 3 months, $1 billion in combat zone bonds just from combat zones.
That's probably a one to touch on, actually. What are the different missions? So combat zones, are they like the only combat zones I know are the ones with ships?
Yeah, that's when you trigger a war between 2 factions, so you can fight them in space and in combat zones in space, or you can go to conflict zones on planets and do it on foot, which is, I have to say, I did low intensity combat zones at first and then realised that they're just too easy, and then I found that the high sort of level ones are much more engaging, and you will die because if you get caught out it's kind of like that Han Solo moment where you run around a corner chasing a single troop, only to find 8 of them round the corner facing you as you go around, and it's like a firing squad. And the combat zones are tons of fun. It's kind of like a very sort of like where PUBG is kind of like a very contained little game, and you play your level and you get your combat zones are like lots of those. So you get to go back in again once you've complained. You go back to the station. Don't need your ship. Just ignore your ship. Don't worry about your joystick, your hot ass. My hot ass is in the garage. I've not used it since I came back. And I just run around the station and jump in a taxi. Or if it comes to combat zones, it's jumping into drop ships at the frontier.
So hang on. That's news to me. So you don't need to get in your ship and fly down to the planet to do the missions.
No, you can get a taxi or an Apex taxi to any missions that are in the local system or close by. So you can take your missions and just get taxis to them, which is fine as long as you're not hostile with them, which unfortunately I am. Or if you're doing combat zones or conflict zones, you can jump in the frontline drop ships and it will take you to the combat zone. You pick your side that you want through that little wonderful woman in the station, and it will drop you off. You fight, you win, you jump in a drop ship back, and then you go back to the station and you repeat and rinse and repeat until you have won 4 days out of the 7. And then you win an asset for your particular faction, and you move on to the next one, and then you get to a point where there's nothing because they're not close enough to trigger a conflict, and so you start running missions. And the missions can be as simple as I quite like them. There's quite interesting ones like the uploading a virus to a data port. So you'll then arrive at a settlement, go to one of the terminals, try and find out where your data port is. Then you find out you haven't got the security clearance to find out the information for that particular part of the station. So you then got to try and find somebody. And if it's a covert covert mission, then one of the stipulations is that you don't set off the system's alarms. So you then either go to where the system alarms are and disable them so that you can do whatever. At that point, if you disable the settlement's alarms, they know they're all dying because that's exactly what you do. It's kind of like a very, the minute if you're a worker on one of these settlements and you hear system alarm disabled, you know it's time to get to the ship and get out of there, because at that point it's all bets are off. But sometimes you get non-violent missions where you're not allowed to kill someone, and it's just a really different sort of take on the missions. Or it's to go in and find a particular item from a crash site, and you arrive there and it's just a wreck. You find the bit you're looking for, and job's a good one. You pick it up and that's fine. Or you are just in the process of picking stuff up, and a dropship comes and drops off 8 troops, and then you're in combat. Or it's to go and assassinate someone, and it warns you that if you don't get it right, they are going to run. So those tend to be quite easy though. Or massacre sites, they're the best. Just go in and kill everyone.
It's amazing when you start listing it, when you were talking, and I was just thinking about, there's so much actually. You kind of don't often realize it until you sit down and have a discussion like this and try and describe to someone who's been out of the game for a while what there is, and then you suddenly think, oh, there's this and there's that and there's that. There's so
and they're
much
all
stuff.
different because. And the whole thing is there's a danger of those kind of missions, like in ship missions where it's just dropping cargo from A to B, and you kind of feel, creaky! I need to figure out how to get it to silent warning. There we go. It starts to become very samey. The missions on planets tend to be quite varied, only because of the experience of the different sizes of the layouts of the settlements, and the fact whether or not you are being covert and trying not to get caught, whether or not they're hostile to you and you really can't afford to be seen, and so you're picking people off from a distance and stuff. It kind of has a feel to the whole, if you remember the Grand Theft Auto bizarre heists that you used to do.
Yeah.
it's kind of got that feeling, and you can go in with your teammates as well, so you can actually team up, and you look for people that have got silenced weapons so that they can take out all the people without getting caught.
Well, I mean, that was one of the points I was going to touch on. So when you mentioned before about obviously running back to your ship to have a quick wardrobe change, is there sort of crew mechanics where you'd have somebody that's obviously can cut through doors, somebody that can offer rifles and combat and a bit of power and pew pew, and somebody else that can do the hacking? Is it worth going in with like a heist team?
It's fun, I guess.
It is, but so there's now two types of missions that you can pick up. So you've got that kind of team missions, and in a team mission, everyone goes and participates, and they all get the same rewards. And then there's non-team missions where everyone comes along and can be part of that mission, but only the sort of mission taker gets the rewards. But you all kind of participate in it, so you can take your team along with you and have fun. But the team missions are a bit more kind because they allow you to share, kind of like your trade bonds, but everyone gets the same thing. So if you're out there and you're doing your material hunt and you're trying to find X, Y, and Z for your upgrades, and you take your team in, and it's everyone's looking for that particular thing, and it's a mission reward. Then if you've got a team mission version for that, then you can go in. One of the new mission types is like protecting the cargo, and that's kind of like your Red Dead Redemption 2 survival mode, where you have a crate of equipment and you can go in yourself or with your team, and it's protecting the cargo from the enemy, and they just keep coming in wave after wave after wave after wave until you complete the mission. And they're tricky, so you really do need a team for those, because on your own you're likely going to screw it up.
Yeah.
So there's it's an awful lot of scope for playing with people, and also I quite enjoy the solo missions myself as well. But when you go into combat zones, it's nice to do it with people because you get through it quicker.
Yeah, I was going to add actually on the things that I like about it, and thinking about what that is. I really like the sightseeing aspect of it, and it is worth when you're doing, when you're going down to these settlements to do missions, to go to loads of different ones, because there's an awful lot of different types of settlement. You've got sort of agriculture and military and research, and they've all got different layouts and different buildings, and they're obviously in different lighting conditions, and so there's sort of this endless possibility for sightseeing. And one little thing that I've picked up from someone else, which has been quite fun, is I'm not brilliant at the combat, and I'm trying to just enjoy the sort of the scenario, if you like, and I'm constantly being shot. And it's like, do you mind? I'm trying to just take this in. And what this thing I heard that's quite nice is if you go to in the Thargoid, the sort of Thargoid war map, there are systems that have just got a black cross through them, and they're basically Thargoid owned and shut down. So all the power's off. So, and it applies to settlements as well. So these settlements where you'd normally run these ground missions are just shut down, derelict. There's nobody around. If you go to those settlements you have these things called power regulators. So there are missions where you're actually missioned to go to a base and restore the power. But you can do this without a mission. So you take a power regulator to one of these abandoned bases in a Thargoid occupied space, pop it into the generator, turn the power on, and then you basically have an abandoned base that you can explore in your own time and to your heart's content. Gather engineering materials, wander around, get the layout of the land, and I just enjoy doing that actually without all the pressure of the combat.
Okay, well, we're going to wrap this up. So, Kow and Alex, maybe one more thing that you think I should be looking out for, because I think what would be quite nice is obviously we've got Christmas. I've got a bit of time over Christmas to jump back into this, and I'm going to. And then in the new year, we'll probably come back and we'll get the the A-team crew on to talk about the stuff that's been going on in the last year, and then maybe it'd be quite nice to sort of jump back into this and sort of just give an update as to the things that I found going back through, and the stuff that has jumped out at me about making a big difference to the game, and what my experience has been coming back into it. I think that'd be quite a nice way to sort of to wrap this bit up. So one thing from both of you in terms of stuff that I should be looking out for.
Catch a taxi.
Taxi.
Oh yeah, taxis and getting stuck in a station because some ship's trapped in the slot, and you sit there, and it's about how long are you prepared to wait to find out?
Well, so actually the AI gets stuck in the gate, and you just have to sit there and wait for it to get shot up.
And it doesn't get shot up. It just sits there, and it really is a case of I'll wait another 2 minutes and see. And then after half an hour, you realise you ain't getting out. So you log back to the menu and you go back in, and suddenly the taxi's further on. So it's there's the wee things like that are just joyful nightmares. It's even worse when you're trying to come into the station and for no reason you can't get back in. You just, oh my god, the frustration of those is brilliant. Especially if you're on your way to a combat zone and you know by jumping out of the menu and back in again, you're going to have to find somebody on the planet to shoot in order to pick a side. The fun is, for all these bugs, they're small, they're annoying, they're not commonplace. They happen, but they don't happen so much. And there's so many other things in other games, DayZ, Invisible Zombies, and stuff like that are far more demoralizing.
I know time's pressing, but I've just thought of one other little thing which is worth doing actually, and you could easily miss it, is in these concourses in stations, where you get out on foot and you've got all the shops and things, and there's a bar, and there's usually a big window at the bar, and when you look out the window you can see the inside of the space station, inside a Coriolis or something.
Yeah.
Get in your ship and try and do the opposite and see if you can find that window. They're quite tricky to find, but I just find it somehow joyful and unexpected that when you do find the window, you can see into the bar from the outside, and it's just somehow wonderful that you can see people wandering around while you're in your spaceship.
And if you're in open, can you see people jumping up and down in that area and waving to you?
Yeah.
That's cool. Okay,
Yeah.
That is quite quality. Because I must admit, that was one of the things when we started seeing Star Citizen first appear, and the fact that you could fly down and start sort of going past all the windows, and then there's someone inside the space station looking at you doing it. I thought that sort of seamless transition was quite nice. So the fact that it's now in Elite Dangerous is very cool.
Yeah, no, it just works. Yeah, because I somehow envisaged that the inside of the concourse would be some different instance, and I didn't even really expect to find a window when I first looked. When I actually found the window and could see people inside, it was a real wow moment.
Cool. Okay. Well, I think that will do it for the topic of discussion. As I think we're probably going to dip back into it in the next few weeks as people start finding out about the stuff that they're missing in Odyssey. But I think we'll leave that there and jump into let's jump into Community Corner. And one of the things that I picked up as I was reading the show notes here, and that is the high wake knocks, the high wake knocks out of the park again, and that's with their animation Elite Dangerous when you have high access level. And again, I had been out of the game for a while, but even I understood what was going on in this awesome cartoon. So if you guys haven't checked it out, then please go to their YouTube channel and check it out. The situation, and I think Grant, you mentioned it about when you need to actually scan somebody that has a higher level access code than you, and doing it all discreet and subtly. They've got a cartoon based around that aspect, and it is hilarious. I did laugh out loud, and that's from someone that hasn't played the game. So fair play to them. They have indeed done an awesome job with that. Commander LCU has updated his screenshot add-on for the amazing Elite Dangerous Market Connector. Let's have a look. Anything else that you guys have picked up from Community Corner, or is there anything else that we need to cover off on that one?
Nope, I think it's in the AOCB.
So, any other business then? In which case, we've got Thargate, which for those people that aren't aware
Have you
is.
missed it?
Have I missed what?
Thargate, or have you seen it?
I've literally just been looking into it, so I can see it is a fantastic fundraiser for the amazing Special Effects, which is a charity that we as part of the Elite Dangerous community, special effects is one of the ones that we always go back to. They do an amazing job about making games accessible for people that have disabilities. They just do an absolutely phenomenal job. So looking at it, am I to assume that there is an actual single, or is it just a mixtape to raise money?
It is it is a thing of beauty. It is a creation of the. It takes you back to the Mobra days.
I had a horrible feeling that might be what it was. Right, so we're
And-
talking about a collaborative music piece then, in the spirit
Yes.
of Live Aid, but Thargade.
Indeed.
You've nailed it, yep. And it is beautiful and features an awful lot of community creators and is amazeballs. And if you have any spare pennies, you couldn't put them anywhere better than into special effects and support these content creators for their, what's the word, talents? No.
No, lack of
No.
talents.
Shamelessness. I love it. It is brilliant. And in fact, they created a Dockers version as well, utilizing stealing the talents of the Dockers cast, which they are there to be done. And yeah, LCU has done a freaking amazing job, becoming a bit of a creative monster himself. So congratulations, LCU, and everyone involved. It looks like it's been amazing. I can't remember what their actual total is at the moment.
No, I can tell you that. So they're currently sitting at £2,311, which is 46% of their £5,000 target. So they're doing well. And again, as Grant says, if you've got any spare pennies, then please, you could not put it in a better place than Special Effects. They are a phenomenal charity. And yeah, so if people want to or should listen to these singles, where can they download them from or stream them?
Well, they should be on that. If you go to the Just Giving page, justgiving.com/page/Stargate, there should be a link there
There
to
isn't a
the
link.
YouTube. There's
No,
not.
there's not a link. Not that I can find anyway. I've just been looking for it.
I've got the Dockers link. I shall just plop it into the Twitch chat so that if anyone's not seen it, that they can find it, and also so that Fozza can witness it. It's not as amazing, and it features the amazing voice talents of so many of the community, and it's just nice to see them all coming together again and that kind of tradition of the community stepping up to raise money for great causes is always so heartwarming to see.
No, absolutely. So nice segue there actually about the community, because we wanted to give a nice shout out and wish good luck to obviously principal community lead Arf, and best wishes for him ahead of his wedding, which we say is tomorrow. Is that actually tomorrow? Is that going to be on the 21st?
It is. I just saw a picture of Arthur downing what looked like a bottle of whiskey.
Oh no!
On Twitter, and basically saying or married tomorrow.
Oh,
it's easy enough, Oz. It's easy enough when you're wedding day. All you've got to do is listen and repeat. You don't need to be in your right mind for that.
With a bottle of whiskey, though, the whole point is that you need to say "I do," not "I spew" all over your bride.
I suspect it may have been slightly theatrical for the
Let's hope so. Let's hope so. In Dex Legacy news, congratulations to Emily Inkpen and the team behind the amazing Dex Legacy, for reaching 25,000 downloads. And I suppose we should probably give them a shout out, because while the Dex Island take a well-earned break before Series 2, there is plenty of material to fill the void. So you can point your auto assistant to your favorite podcast app, including Spotify and Audible, and search for the Dex Legacy. And then you'll find bonus edition interviews with cast members and with the writer herself, Emily Inkpen. There's also plenty of bonus materials and merch at thedexlegacy.com, all proceeds of which go to the making of Season 2. We should shout out our sister station, which is Hutton Orbital Radio, which broadcasts on Thursdays at 8:30 UK time, and you can tune into them at twitch.tv/Hutton Orbital Truckers, or just the audio at radio.forthemug.com. And for the discerning commander who likes a bit of CQC action, you can check out the CQC Discord at discord.me/Elite Dangerous CQC. Now, I know I'm giving that a shout out, but seriously, guys, is anybody actually still playing CQC?
I believe so, actually. I think it's quite popular in certain corners.
I know Colin was still playing it, but I would have thought that was one of the things that it was quiet when I was last playing. So it's good to see that there's still a community out there that's enjoying it. Cool, and I suppose we should also give a shout out to the following Elite Dangerous podcasts, which have appeared over the last year or are standing regular contributors, and that is Flight Assist, the Guard Frequency, who, in fairness, do other space games, and Loose Screws. Following this, we have the latest Galnet News Digest, as provided by the amazing Commander Wotherspoon, who has just confirmed that there will be a year's review coming up between Christmas and New Year, and of course Commander Beetlejude as well. And thanks for all of you guys who have been with us tonight in the Twitch chat and in-game commanders who came to say hello, and a special thanks to Commander Tukoso. I was doing so well. Tukoso? Tukoso. There we go. That'll work. Gendrax, and of course the wonderful alumni Alan Stroud, who created the music that we use here on the show. Right, before we wrap it up, guys, anything else that I've missed? I feel that there's probably stacks of stuff that I've missed trying to...
Oh, not at all. Just a huge thank you to everyone for letting us come back in and completely hijack tonight's show without giving us harsh judgments that we haven't actually discussed anything of relevance.
And also for keeping the "who are these guys" comments down in Twitch. We appreciated that, staying under the 50 comments on "who are these dudes." Appreciate that quite a lot. But no, it's been great fun, and as I say, it really is. I'm really looking forward to getting back into the game and catching up with what we say is totally true. The fantastic community that we have for this game, and the fact that it's 8 years old and still has a community that just continues to go from strength to strength to strength.
Yeah, it's a great time to get back in. Actually, it really is.
Totally. I suppose we should probably thank Grant for being on the show, and a massive thank you as well to Alex, and from behind the scenes as well, working on the tech side of things. We've got Norman, we've got Commander Ventura, but that's it for another episode of Lave Radio. So if you'd like to get in touch with the show, then you can email us at info@laveradio.com. Hit us up at facebook.com/Lave Radio. You can tweet at Lave Radio on Twitter, or you can toot, which is new to me, at Lave Radio at spacey.space on Mastodon, or you can join our Discord server by going to discord.io/Lave Radio. We also do, in fact, have a TeamSpeak server where commanders come to hang out and chat, which you can find at teamspeak.laveradio.com. Do indeed get in touch if you have any questions, or if there's anything else you would like us to discuss on a future episode. Lave Radio is recorded live on a Tuesday evening at 8:30 UK time and streamed at laveradio.com/live. Until next time, commanders, fly safe, and if you can't do that, fly dangerous.
Is your life like this? Sounds like someone having an orange inserted. Need a safe word.
Space can be low.
I'm going to see the galaxy.
Ah, damn it. No worries, guys. Hold the fort for 2 seconds. I'll be right back.
Galnet News Digest, 20th of December 3308. We read the news so you don't have to. In this week's news, humanity has finally got into its stride in the war against the Thargoids. And there's a seasonal treasure hunt. On the 15th of December, the final 3 Thargoid maelstroms arrived. On Friday, we took stock.
Maelstroms Thor, Raijin and Hadad arrived yesterday in the Col 285 sector IG-0, C6-5, Pegasi sector IH-U, B3-3 and HIP 30-377 systems respectively. The 8 maelstroms form a hemisphere around the south end of the bubble, blocking easy access to the Pleiades, Witchhead and California nebulas, while leaving the Coalsack Nebula, which is also a Thargoid stronghold, apparently unguarded. In addition to the maelstrom systems, there are 208 systems under Thargoid control, 58 that still have a human presence but are being invaded by Thargoids, and 38 that are being investigated by Thargoids for possible future invasion. And there is one, just one, system that has been cleared of Thargoids and that is in a period of post-Thargoid recovery. HIP 23716 has 4 stations under repair: Planetary Port Farkas Oasis, which still seems to be having problems with the fire extinguishers, and the outposts Knight Enterprise, Godel Escape and Wolf Orbital. The system's only Coriolis starport, Wakata Station, is online and operational, despite last week's heavy bombardment by Thargoid forces. The Brazilian League of Pilots has requested urgent delivery of construction materials to help get all stations back online. There are now a total of 11 rescue megaships to which evacuated civilians can be taken. Ships with passenger cabins can take the walking wounded and those who are simply eager to get away from the Thargoids, while ships with cargo racks can take shipments of escape pods full of the more seriously injured. The rescue ships handle medical emergencies and evacuees, but they also sell the enhanced versions of the original Aegis anti-Xeno weapons that Liz Ryder and Zachariah Nemo have been working on. So far, small and medium turreted multi-cannon and missile racks and medium and large fixed multi-cannon have been made available, but medium and large fixed missile racks and gimbaled multi-cannons are undergoing final preparation and are likely to become available to buy on Thursday of next week. If you'd like to help make these weapons possible, there are initiatives to deliver gallium, copper, polymers, advanced catalyzers and synthetic reagents to Shiradark in Kappa Reticuli and to Wilson City in Apala, respectively. It's beginning to look at least possible that the Thargoids might be contained within their current sphere of influence. However, the maelstroms remain impenetrable. It seems likely that the key to tackling these Thargoid strongholds may be unlocked by the independent fragments of what used to be Aegis. Professor Albert Ezro, Ramtar and Ishmael Palin, together with the Thargoid Whisperer, Siajin I.
On Monday, Colonel Briss Decker speculated about the new Thargoid tactic of interdicting human ships from supercruise.
The Colonel, who specialises in customising frameshift-drive interdictors, notes that the Thargoids have long been using hyperdiction, intercepting ships as they travel between star systems, as a means of checking on passing human vessels. In the area around the 8 maelstroms, they have now started interdicting human vessels from supercruise as well. And within the area around the maelstrom systems, they will attack immediately they have completed either hyperdiction or interdiction. This means that for the first time, there is nowhere safe. Jumping to supercruise no longer confers safety from the Thargoids. Meanwhile, the war against the Thargoids is going well. The Viterbo system, which was on Thargoid alert, is expected to be declared clear of Thargoids on Thursday, and 5 systems that are under attack, 63 Eridani, HIP 25679, Ibisu, Awara and Inuit, are all expected to enter a phase of post-Thargoid recovery at the same time. 2 more systems, Ildano and 29E Orionis, are the next 2 systems being worked on, in the reasonable expectation that they too can be cleared of Thargoids this week. This progress contrasts with the previous week, during which 1 system, HIP 2485, had its alert cleared, and the Thargoids were only expelled from a single system, HIP 23716. The Thargoids seem to be much less invulnerable now they are spread out over a larger slice of the galaxy. Work on the 2 ongoing initiatives to manufacture enhanced Aegis AX weapons is steady, with the fixed AX missile rack nearly 2/3 complete and the gimbaled multicannon 2/5 of the way to completion.
Earlier today, the Imperial Herald reported that the Emperor single-handedly turned around potential civil unrest using the power of oratory.
Worrying news and images from the Thargoid War seems to have unsettled the people of the Empire more than had been realised. An entirely unexpected and spontaneous rally of tens of thousands of Imperial citizens formed outside the Imperial Palace. The Chancellor, Anders Blaine, addressed the crowd using giant screens, describing the Imperial Navy's swift and decisive action against the invading Thargoids. He assured the vast crowd that they were safe from alien invasion. His soothing words did little to calm the fears that were all too plainly visible on the faces of those present. Reporter Cassia Carvalho describes how she feared a violent reaction from the citizens present, but she claimed it was the Emperor herself who descended the palace steps and walked among the crowd, who calmed those fears and brought back a sense of pride, even jubilation, in these Imperial citizens. The Emperor presumably had access to a state-of-the-art sound system to make herself heard by those present as she strode purposefully among them, reminding them of their Imperial heritage. She spoke of the strength of the Imperial civilization, its achievements, and of the courage of its citizens. She declared that the Empire would challenge and defeat anything, human or Thargoid, that threatened its safety. According to the press account, the normally reclusive Emperor single-handedly transformed the crowd from fear and rebellion to confidence and pride. Whether or not this piece of hagiography was strictly true, the Emperor must know that dark times are ahead and that she must keep her citizens behind her if the Empire is to survive.
Away from the Thargoid War, a treasure trail has been created by Sandra Kors, a modern-day Santa Claus. Delivering festive gifts to children should be its own reward, but Sandra has made sure the delivery pilots get a very fair reward for their efforts. What you need to do is bring your small or medium-sized sleigh, with at least space for 6 cargo, to the Njumbala system. Scan the beacon called Sandra's Postbox, which is near Frost Dock. This will give you somewhat cryptic delivery instructions. Buy the number of festive gifts you need to deliver from Frost Dock. If you're good at interpreting the children's somewhat ambiguous delivery instructions, 6 packs of gifts should be enough, but you can buy more as insurance. They're a rare good, so you can sell any you have left over for a decent profit if you travel far enough. Now, all you need to do is work out where the little darlings want their presents delivered and sell one of the festive gifts into the appropriate commodities market to complete your delivery. If you worked out the correct delivery address, a message will arrive in your inbox telling you of the sometimes colourful, sometimes useful rewards you've earned for making the delivery. Here's one of the 6 letters from the children. The clue to the system and station is hidden in there somewhere.
Dear Sandra, I have been a very good girl this year. All my classwork was completed on time. I helped Daddy with changing Tommy in the mornings, and I even ate all of the horrible stew Mummy makes on Wednesdays. She keeps saying it's a Bokeh special, but it tastes so weird. I know Mummy loves making it for us, so I finish mine every week. I'd like a full box of special flavourings I can sneak into my bowl when she's not looking.
Then I'd look forward to Wednesdays as much as Mummy does. Thank you.
And that's this week's Galnet News. Galnet News, we read the news so you don't have to.